Are we still ready to record? We're recording. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and call this regularly scheduled City Commission meeting to order. Before I ask for an approval of the agenda, I do have some changes to make. First, I'm going to pull item 1, the municipal clerk's proclamation, off of tonight since our clerk is not here with us. We'll wait till she's here so we can recognize her. I have a Scrivener's error on item 3. It'll be the new item 2. It should read Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District. And then for item 10, I'm going to change that from the impact fee ordinance second reading to just a discussion. We have some things especially on the commercial side, that we want to verify and check. So we're going to have a discussion about that so that we give direction to staff. We'll bring that back at the next meeting. So if anybody's here, you're welcome to stay to listen to that conversation, but we're not going to vote on impact fees tonight. So if you want to go home and then come back, save your energy for the next one, that's fine. But if you wanted to stay, we'll certainly take public input after the discussion, but we're not going to vote on impact fees tonight. We're going to change that to just a discussion. Those are my changes and additions. Anybody else have any? If not, I'll have a motion. I have a motion to approve the agenda with the conditions and changes. I have a second. The motion was made by Commissioner Coleman, second by Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor, which is to approve the agenda with those 3 changes. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passed unanimously. We have another slight change. We're going to invite Pastor Lowry from Fresh Wind at Mount Zura to give tonight's invocation. If you would please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will follow right after Pastor Lowry. Welcome, sir.
We'll all bow our heads. Gracious Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and for the business that is at hand. I pray, Lord God, that as your Spirit resonates in this place, that, Lord, our minds will be guided by your Spirit, and that, Lord God, we will accomplish the things and the goals that we're here to accomplish. We pray, Father, for this commission, for this diocese, for the mayor, and, Lord God, we pray for the city manager and all of those who assist in this great city. We ask your blessings upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lowry. And again, folks, if you have any empty seats, if you could slide in there. We got a couple people just coming in. We want to make room for everybody. We appreciate it. And that's going to take us to new number 2, which is proclamation declaring April 28th, 2023 as the Great American Cleanup Day. Mr. Jones, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As you know, every year in the springtime, we proclaim a date as the Great American Cleanup Day in the city of Newberry. This year we're here before you asking you to proclaim April 28th as Great American Cleanup Day. Every spring, the city of Newberry participates in the Keep Alachua County Beautiful Great American Cleanup. Our participation involves coordinating special yard debris collection, citywide waste tire, hazardous material, and general trash roundup. The Public Works Department coordinates this with Waste Pro, our solid waste contractor, to accomplish this, and we're asking it to be scheduled on April 28th. The tire and litter collection will be Friday, April 28th, and Saturday, April 29th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Public Works compound located at 120 Northwest 260th Street. The Household Hazardous Waste Roundup will also be located there, 120 Northwest 260th Street on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we also do a yard debris amnesty event as part of this every year. So the yard debris must be curbside by Sunday, April 30th. And to be collected, we'll start collecting Monday, May 1st, and conclude that on the 4th of May. We do ask the residents when they put that yard debris out, they ensure that they don't put it on any water meters, fire hydrants, transformers, things of that nature. So
And, Mr. Jones, we're gonna put that on the website, have a social media post with all the addresses and times and dates and those locations.
Yes, we will have mapping as well, Mr. Mayor, and if anybody has any questions about what is allowed to be brought and what's not, if they'll call the Public Works Office, we can answer those questions. Or if they call City Hall, they can help them here. But it is for residential only. It does not pertain to commercial entities.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions about that before I read this proclamation into the record? Okay, hearing none. City of Newberry 2023 Great American Cleanup Proclamation. Whereas the control of litter and litter prevention is vitally important to the quality of life in Newberry, Florida. Whereas the citizens, businesses, and city of Newberry have an interest in encouraging every resident to protect and preserve the beauty and cleanliness of the community. And whereas the mission of Keep Newberry Beautiful is to improve the appearance of the community by inspiring and engaging the citizens of Newberry to take personal responsibility for their community environment. Whereas Keep America Beautiful is the nation's largest volunteer-based community action and education organization. Whereas Keep America Beautiful promotes programs that engage individuals to take greater responsibility for improving their community's environment through the three main focus areas of litter prevention, waste reduction, and recycling, and beautification. And now, therefore, I, Jordan Marlowe, Mayor of the City of Newberry, do hereby declare Friday, April 28th, as the Great American Cleanup Day in the City of Newberry, and I urge all organizations, businesses, and citizens to participate in this event to make Newberry a more beautiful place to live, work, and play. Dated this 10th day of April, 2023. Make it so, and everybody get out there and clean up. We appreciate you. Well, that's going to move us right on to the Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District. If you'll let Mr. Boyer slide on out of there, he'll make his way down. And if you've got any other committee members that you want to bring down with you to introduce, if they don't have to, if they want, they're all the way stuck back in a corner there. So, but they're welcome to stand up and introduce themselves from back there.
We'll bring them up as we have an issue.
The presentation is ready.
Okay.
One, is the green light on there, Walt?
The green light is on.
Okay, can you prop it up or lean down into it? It's not picking up quite as well for the folks in the back. Perfect.
All right. Good evening, Commission, Mayor. I'm Walt Boyer. I'm the chairman of the Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District. Can you hear okay? Got a little presentation for you tonight. Wanted to introduce ourselves to you. We're 5 supervisors. We are elected in the county, but we're not a county board. We're actually a subsidiary or a subservient to the Florida Department of Agriculture. So we're a state board. We're just elected locally. We have 5 supervisors. I've got 2 of my supervisors here with me. I got Patrick Sell in the back corner and Archie Matthews. Archie is our treasurer. The Alachua Soil and Water Conservation Districts were one of nearly 3,000 conservation districts nationwide. We're driven to educate, communicate, assist, support, coordinate, and promote best conservation practices to families, farmers, schools, civic clubs, businesses, individuals, and agricultural interests. Conservation is everybody's business, and as we strive to become better stewards of natural resources in rural, urban, inner city, and suburban settings. We were established by the Florida legislature back in 1950. We work closely with the Department of Agriculture, Natural Resource Conservation Services. Again, you know, we create ways to conserve water, prevent soil erosion, convert older irrigation systems for the farmers, and inform the public about, you know, conservation issues, conservation problems. We do serve the entire district of Alachua County. That is our area. We are not funded by the state, although we are a state subsidiary. We aren't paid. We're volunteers, although we're elected. So The organization, pretty much we rely on donations, partnerships, grants, contributions, and stuff like that. The services we provide, we assist landowners in their efforts to secure financial assistance through Farm Bill programs, to implement conservation practices, conservation education, programs, and information. We assist growers with development of low-volume irrigation systems, develop and update irrigation water management plans, and we do soil surveys and offer historical maps for soil surveys. Local government advice and assistance, so we work with our local governments, youth education, and invasive plant control. Our education programs, we sponsor a number of programs that serve Alachua County communities. We're working to build the number of services that we do offer. We have the annual Envirothon, our poster and speech contest, land judging. There's some of the educational programs that we're currently involved in. The Envirothon, it's a regional Envirothon. It's problem-solving natural resource education program for high school students. It's a unique outdoor competition that requires teamwork and the application of knowledge in the 5 areas that we've got listed. Aquatics, current environmental issues, invasive species, forestry, soils, wildlife. More about the Envirothon. Each team, consists of 5 students. The schools can enter more than 1 team, but no more than 6 teams. The 5-member teams are led by an advisor in studying prepared resource materials in the 5 areas. Schools can enter more than 1 team, again, no more than 6. During the competition, students rotate to 5 testing areas, and then they're judged on all of that. We have a poster contest. It's locally, then it goes district, and up to national. It's the National Conservation Poster Contest provides kindergarten through 12th grade students an opportunity to convey their thoughts about soil, water, and related natural resources through art. Highlights the educational outreach efforts of conservation districts like us and our state conservation associations, auxiliaries, and agencies. The poster contest theme follows an annual stewardship theme, and the contest is co-sponsored by the National Association of Conservation Districts. Each year, the poster contest starts at the district level, and individuals and teachers with questions regarding the district contest should contact us, the local district. Speech contest, we sponsor an annual speech contest which is designed to develop leadership and stimulate interest in conserving natural resources. We do land judging. It's a 4-H and FFA combined partnership. Middle school and high school students are involved in this, and they're observed and interpret the soil in order to make wise land use decisions. The skills that teens use at a contest involve principles that can be valuable in career fields like environmental and agricultural management, natural resource conservation, home building, engineering, and construction. And again, they can compete at the local, move on to the state and national level. The Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District, we host a local middle and high school students in the FFA and 4-H to test their knowledge by judging soil from 4 pits that are selected by soil scientists with the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service. One of our future goals, one of the things driving our outreach is we want to recognize our county ag community. We'd love to be able to recognize our ag community with a stewardship award every year, be presented at a stewardship award banquet. We'd love to be able to award a Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District scholarship of $1,000 for one or more Alachua County high school seniors. So it would be for the whole county again. And we would present that at that banquet. So in closing, I want to thank you for allowing me the time to make this presentation. We're looking forward to working with the city of Newberry. We want to become real community partners in pursuit of the Alachua Soil and Water Conservation District mission. With that, are there any questions?
Well, first, I want to just thank you for volunteering your time, because I know you run for these things, you don't get paid, you're taking on extra work. I like the education. I didn't know how much you guys do with the youth, so I appreciate you coming and educating us on that. And just taking the time for you and the board members to come and introduce yourselves. I think that there are opportunities for us to partner together and work together in the future. Does the commission have any questions for the?
Yes, sir.
Clark.
Mr. Boyer, being in the invasive plant control business, I'd like to know if there's something you can do with our county, with all the grass that they put out that becomes invasive in our farmers' fields, and fireweed. So if you could solve those two problems, I promise you can step right on up in this. Can you get fireweed control?
We could definitely look into it. So this is my first foray.
It is
So
crazy.
I'm still learning, but it is in the purview of what we do.
Check on those two.
So I could definitely check on that. There are several invasive species of plants that I would love to help eradicate.
Any other questions from the dais? Commissioner Martin?
Let me know when the land judging contest is. As you may know, I was actually a state land judging champion circa 1989. And then, our team was fourth in the nation when we went to Oklahoma City.
Okay, well then you're
And look at
familiar
him
with
now.
this. You're
Look
familiar.
at me now, look at me now.
Yeah.
Well, education and working with the youth is our primary drive. That's our primary focus. We do all these other things that we related, but we just had our land judging contest on March 31st. So we do have it annually. We're hoping maybe we can host next year's, and we'll reach out and let you know where it's going to be and when it's going to be.
That's good.
For sure.
All right.
Well,
Any other questions?
do all
You just
kinds of
you
stuff.
got to dig deep into
We
the
gotta
commissioner.
dig
Yeah.
deep into old Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyer. Thank you, other board members. We appreciate your service to the community. Thank you all. All right, that's going to take us to a proud moment tonight. And the reason I really wanted to try to get home and put on a tie, but I didn't make it. Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Dallas, you want to say a few words about it, or you want to let the city manager brag on you a little bit?
I'll
bragging on
give
you
the city
afterwards.
manager a few minutes
Okay.
to compose himself. Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, the City of Newberry Finance and Administration Department was once again awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada for our annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 2021. This certificate is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the city. The award embodies the city's goal of demonstrating transparency and disclosure of city funds and financial reporting so that it's easy to understand how money is spent, where money is received, and our overall financial position. This is the city's fourth time receiving this prestigious award, which less than 5% of all governments earn and less than 1% of cities our size earn. The preparation of the financial report requires a high level of collaboration among all of our staff and departments and dedication from the finance team to stay current with continuously changing financial reporting requirements. We could not have won this award without the assistance of our other departments and the entire city staff in ensuring we hold ourselves to the highest levels of accountability and transparency. This recognition celebrates our continuous commitment to responsible and transparent financial management and planning for our community. And I want to commend and congratulate the finance team on our commitment to safeguarding and accurately reporting taxpayer dollars.
Well, Dallas, you know, at the end of the day, this is where the rubber meets the road. We collect the taxes, and we want that tax money, our residents' tax money, to go to where we say it's going to go to. I think we've always been proud of this accomplishment, but given some other local happenings that have taken place here recently, I think it reminds us exactly why we should strive for this level of transparency. And it is truly amazing that we're in a city that 1% of the cities across the country our size are able to achieve this. So I know that it's becoming old hat for you. This is 4 years in a row. But this board never takes it lightly that you guys go after this and achieve it every single year. So with that, it is my honor to come down here.
If I could get the members of the finance team who are here.
And I apologize, I'm not in the tie. I really did, but we just kept winning, you know? And so I didn't really make it. Well, here. Thank you, guys. And as an extra bonus to your team, if they want to go home, they should be able to go on home, yes. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your commission likes to hear from the public. Mike, did you compose yourself now? I don't want to cut you off if you had something you wanted to say about that.
Mr. Mayor, I always will take an opportunity to brag on our team. I think that we go through a ton of effort putting together an audit every year. It's a lot of work on our team. But this is when you take that financial reporting to the highest level of transparency, making it available for our residents to be aware of, so that they can ensure that their tax dollars are being spent in the manner that they elect you guys to ensure that it's being spent by. So the mayor mentioned 1%. For cities our size, I think it is 1%. But in the state of Florida, 1 out of every 20 government organizations achieves this award, or 5% statewide. And I find that to be, when you consider how limited we are on resources, to be 1 out of 24 consecutive years, to me, really speaks to true excellence. And it is a big level of effort. It is not fill out one more page after the audit. It is go to a whole extra step, a lot of extra work on our team. And the commitment, when you're in government, you hear a lot of people that are confused by how complex we are, but the commitment for our team to make it as understandable as possible and to make sure that the residents of Newberry know how their tax dollars are being spent, that I see from our team every day. This is just recognizing what I see every day. Could not be more proud of our team than to get this award with the frequency that they're getting it. So I appreciate them all, and thank you.
Absolutely. We look forward to it again next year also. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your commission likes to hear from you often, so they put aside a time at the beginning of each meeting. No, we got public comment first. Hang on now, don't throw me off, right? So we have the 2-minute public comments here at the beginning. There's another opportunity at the end of the night for 5-minute public comments. If you have something that's a little more controversial, obviously if it's on the agenda, there'll be an opportunity to speak to any item on the agenda when we get to that item. So if you want to come and talk to the commission about anything that's not on the agenda, you have 2 minutes to do so now. And like winning, competing at the national level and winning and moving on to the next one. So whoever is going to speak to the dais, right, speak into the microphone and look at the dais. We got a camera right over here. Oh, the folks watching at home, we want them to be able to see you. And you can hold up that robot and come around to that side and hold that up so that everybody can see it. And we'll let you turn around and get pictures from mom and dad too. Young sir, introduce yourself to us.
Hello, I am Dylan Lamb, and this is Ethan Austin and Aurora Coughlin. And we are Oakview's first team, robotics team in history to make it to the U.S. Open national competition. or the worldwide competition in Dallas, Texas. We just got back from Council Bluff, Iowa last week, where we competed at the national level. Only 96 teams were invited in the world, and we were one of them. We have been invited to a national competition in Dallas, Texas, or international competition in Dallas, Texas, and unfortunately, after the $12,000 cost to go to Iowa, the robotics budget's not exactly there anymore. So we are just here to see if we could possibly get financial help getting there. We've already gotten the invitation to where we need to be. We just need help getting there at this point. Sorry.
No, I was going to ask, do you have that QR code? Is that here tonight? Do you have that on a flyer? Okay, so we're going to tell you all the ways folks watching at home can support. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep on going.
We placed top 20 at the competition in Council Bluff, Iowa, and we made it to the finals. We have gotten multiple awards at this point in robotics, and I believe we are the first team in Newberry to go to Worlds, including elementary and high school. We have basically made it further than any team for robotics in Newberry ever, and we just want to continue going as far as we can. And also, Mr. Clark, this thing might be able to kill the weeds. You never know.
That's a good ad. You're hired. That's a good ad. Yeah. Is that your conclusion? Okay, so anybody in the audience, I'm sure that we've got some teachers here that have the QR code if you want to help support. Mr. Manager, do we have, I know we set aside some money every year in the budget, 250 increments. Do we have any of that left that we could offer to the robotics team here?
Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to say that we do have funding available and that we'll coordinate with this group to make sure they go with a little bit of financial support from the city.
I got 2 thumbs up here. Support the first ever robotics team from Newberry. That's wonderful. And I don't want you guys to be afraid of this crowd behind you. If they're wearing a flannel shirt, that means they're loaded, okay? That means they've got more money, right? Some of them played from Auburn and made millions. Right? So if you want to support the Newberry, the Oakview Middle School robotics team to go compete in the World Championship, I think some of the teachers have a QR code. You can go take you right to a GoFundMe. They'll take any donations that you guys can collect right now, and who will get with the manager to make that happen. All right,
Absolutely.
so we'll make sure as you leave, just leave your email there. Any final comments or thoughts that you want to?
Just in case anyone in the finance department, this matters to them, the total estimated value of the trip is going to be $8,000, and just the registration fee is $1,200.
It's expensive to be a winner. It's expensive to be a winner.
Always.
Yeah.
When's the date?
Can you put that right here and give the folks just a real quick demonstration? We didn't bring the remote in?
What's the date of this?
We've got it.
And what is the date of the actual competition? April 29th through the 2nd.
Wow.
Okay. Is this pointed? It's not going to reach out and punch me, is it?
No, we actually took off the thing that might punch
I'll give you 10 if it does.
Yeah, you might get a lot more money if it did.
Air of caution.
Pick weeds.
It's blanket.
We'll send it out.
It's got the remote's not. Oh, I hear something there. Okay. Well, walk it around and show everybody in the audience what you got. It is a school night, so you don't need to sit here for the rest of the night.
What's it supposed to
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah. Why don't you go back to the mic and tell us a little bit about what it's supposed to do? What's it?
So each part of the robot has a different function.
Go say it in the mic. You got folks watching at home.
We have each part of the robot has a different function, and each Aurora, can you flywheel? The flywheel, which is the can you run the flywheel then? Which one? It doesn't matter. Okay. The flywheel has to spin a sort of wheel, and that wheel pushes out these orange discs into this chamber here, and then those get shot out, like that, except trying not to shoot at anyone. And then we have an elevator mechanism that allows us to go up and knock once again the little orange discs out of their container, and then we have to shoot them under a bar. All the ones that go into this chamber are shot under a bar into, the best way to describe it is football if it had like 4 different touchdown zones that were all worth a different point amount.
It's a targeted practice.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a good way to describe
all
it.
right. Well, that is awesome. Can you turn it around for the folks that are watching that? Just let them get it. You don't have to go through the whole thing again, but let them see what it looks like. And that you guys have put that all together, and they had to place in the top 20 in the country to get this invitation. So they made it there. Now we just got to make sure that every kid that's part of that gets to go to the trip and have that experience. So.
How long did it take you guys to put it together?
They have pictures of the actual field on the board, so people are trying to figure out what the competition looks like.
All right.
The robot has to do certain tasks and get pictures on the board.
Yeah, can you point out where it is?
I think
They have 1 minute to
There's
do
one
the
right
competition.
1 minute to do the competition. All right.
Okay, pick it up. Hold it like that.
There you go.
So it's the bottom center one. That's part of the field. And the robot has to get the pucks out of those elements.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. Great job. Way to keep representing Newberry. We love it. And if you will, ma'am, just leave your email. Or he's giving you, there you go. And we'll coordinate that later. And if any businesses in town want to help sponsor, they'll come wash cars and serve tea and whatever you got going in that business. So
They're doing a garage sale on Saturday at the school.
garage sales at Oakview Middle School. Garage sale on Saturday at Oakview Middle School. All right. We'll go out and buy a bunch of stuff. If you want, you can just take it right out there and leave those cards, leave that contact information. We appreciate you guys so much for coming down. Go home and do all your homework now.
Me too.
Do we have anybody else in public comment? Come on down, sir.
Hey, Commissioners and Mayor. What's happening, Attorney Walker? My name's Frank Stankunas, and I have a business here in town, Silverback Concrete. And I was looking at your sign up there and where it says, "We believe in Newberry." And I have my business here because I believe in Newberry. I let my sons play football here because I believe in Newberry. I work for Trip Norfleet and other builders here because I believe in Newberry. And I just want to take it, I see these impact fees are really, out of whack from the amount of a guy goes and spends on developing a building and creating jobs. The impact fees just seem a little out of whack. And I would just like y'all to consider that for the growth of this community, because Trip Norfleet, man, he just don't build the best house in town. He builds a community, he builds jobs, and using him as an example because he cares, and we love him because he pays us on time too. So, but that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Other public comment?
How are you guys tonight? Well, I understand you're not going to vote on this tonight. I appreciate you guys hearing our comments and thoughts on it. Obviously, we build houses and a little bit of commercial here in Newberry, so that is part of our concern, continuing to provide the jobs and kind of do what we do. But another part of it is, as far as things like CVS's, Walgreens, fuel stations, part of that isn't to increase traffic coming from other cities. Part of it is to cut down on trips for our residents here. For example, restaurants, instead of going back to Gainesville on a Friday or Saturday night to eat, people of the city, they can eat here in town, or instead of having to go to Jonesville or Gainesville, they could go to a CVS or Walgreens here. And part of our concern is with the higher impact fees, certain investors and builders, et cetera, wouldn't be able to justify or afford to do that and create some of that for us. And so that's just kind of some of our concern on it, and we just appreciate if you guys would take it back into consideration and look at it a little bit closer and see what you could do on it. But
Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Zeke Norfleet.
Yeah, my bad. Sometimes people come up and I think everybody already knows each other. Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys hearing what we had to say on it, and like I said, we plan on being here for a long time and building a lot, and we want to do it as best we can, and create a good buildings and good businesses for Newberry. So thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Other public contact. And folks, we are going to talk about impact fees later on. So if you want to make a comment on that, it's still on there as a conversation. But you're welcome to make it now if you want to go. Awesome.
I just, and this might not be the place to say it, I've been in this area about 3 years, owned property here. I was the president of a very large homeowners association up north, and
Or did you introduce yourself? Can you say your name?
I'm Ken Hicks,
All right.
and Will Barkley. I don't think the city's watching what's being done in these new developments. The sidewalks that go past my place, I keep them up even though it's the city's. But where they end, there's grass growing over the sidewalk, there's leaves. If it gets wet, somebody could fall. A lot of people go back walking and everything. There's pools in our development that haven't been touched. They're green, slimy. Yards that aren't mowed, backyards that the grass is 3 foot high. If you talk about keeping a nice looking community, and I love Newberry, but somebody's got to enforce the rules.
I got something to say. My name is Willie Barton. I'm a retired military.
Could you reset the clock and each get 2 minutes? Right? Were you done with your comments?
Yeah, I'll give him the rest of mine.
My name is Willie Bartley. I'm a retired military, 36 years military, and I lived in Newberry for 8 years and stuff. And what bothers me the most is the people walk their dogs and stuff, and you have dog poop on the last. I'm still on the last street, and you got so much of dog poop down there. I know the people that walk their dogs, and you have dog poop all down the bike street of Newberry and stuff. We need to do something a little better about that and stuff. I have a dog, but I pick mine up. But I know the people that come, the dog just poop in your yard and everything and stuff. We have to put a control on that right now, and it's getting real bad. And some of the houses complex over there, they walk their dogs over here down. They walk down their poop and stuff. I wash everything because I'm retired. I don't work no more. I just wanted to keep our neighborhood clean and presentable. This is Newberry, and we want our neighborhood to stay real nice and clean and stuff. I'm a military. I like everything dressed right, dressed, and I don't know what we could do about it, but we need to do something about it soon. And so I'm new here. The first time I came to a meeting and stuff, but I know some of y'all already and stuff up here and stuff. But I think we can work it out if we get work as a team together.
I agree with that 100%.
much.
Thank you for your service, and I'm going to ask the city managers. I think we already have an ordinance about that. Do we already cover?
Mr. Mayor, we have ordinances that would cover most of what was brought up tonight. I think that for us, it's important to get a few more details about where these violations are occurring, so we can investigate them and see what we can do to address them.
Okay. So we'll get with you, and so we'll find out a little bit more information. Yeah. Well, we need to know, so we'll get, and you guys will talk to us. Other public comment? Come on down, Ms. McLeod. Come on.
Buckshot doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was trying to.
I thought you were raising your hand saying.
Since you called me up here. Good evening. My name is Lisa Darling. To the mayor, the city commissioners, and everyone else on the dais. I do agree with what the gentleman right here has said about keeping our community clean. You all know what my concerns are in my neighborhood, and I don't think that I should have to always just go to the Little Red Schoolhouse every 30 or 31 days to complain. The things that are going on in my neighborhood is starting to get back a little ugly again. The cars are being parked on the sidewalk. I think you all put the sidewalks, I know you all put the sidewalks there for people to walk on. There are, what are those things called, when people get them for television? Satellite. Someone has thrown the satellite, almost in the road. They're cutting their limbs and not putting them to the inches and feet that they're supposed to be. So I think the city needs to go around, or whoever needs to tag them. We try to do our best when we cut our limbs in our yard. So I do agree, and I know there are ordinance in effect. However, sometimes it slips my mind to call the Little Red Schoolhouse every 31 days.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
since you brought that up, Mr. Arnold, I always forget quite the name, but you do not any longer have to call the Little Red Schoolhouse. If you have the Newberry Florida Connect app, you can go. Did I get it right? Okay. Newberry Florida Connect. Right. Yeah, Newberry Florida Connect app looks like that. Newberry Connect, and you can report all those issues right on your phone.
Okay.
And if you're standing there, then I think we've got it fixed where it's geo. You can do it from the website. So, but I think the app is great. You can stand right there and say somebody's trash or somebody isn't picking up after their dog, and you can report it right there. Newberry Florida Connect app. It's a great tool. Saves down a lot of time. So I hope everybody. You can take a picture of what you're talking about, and then it just automatically goes and we can address it. But since you brought up some rather pointed things, I'll ask our manager to give you a card there as well, and you can help us identify what you're talking about specifically.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Ms.
When
Janine?
you're using the app, if you're going to report a problem, you hit this little plus sign and the red circle at the bottom, and that's how you start to report a problem.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Other public comment? Going once? Going twice? Sold. All right, we will close public comment. I'll have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published. I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, a second from Commissioner Maison. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to, I think this is number 8, right? 9. Well, we skipped one, right? We took one off. So this is new number 8, old number 9, Newberry Drinking Water Facility Plan Adoption. Mr. Jones.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the item we have in front of you here is the FDEP State Revolving Fund Drinking Water Facility Plan Adoption, and we're requesting that the commission receive a presentation and adopt Resolution 2023-29. As you may recall, as part of our annual budgetary process, we do a 5 and sometimes a 10-year CIP. We identified as part of that process that we require additional elevated storage for our potable water system, and we have applied through the state revolving fund with FDEP for some of the potential funding for grants or low interest loans for that. As part of that process, you have to do what they call a facility plan, where you identify and explain the need and the different alternatives that you review to get to that conclusion. And the process requires that you see that plan and adopt it by resolution. So I have Justin DeMello with Woodard & Curran, our consultant, who's going to give you a brief presentation, and then we're requesting that the commission adopt the resolution.
Jamie, before you bring him up, on ours it says resolution parentheses DW01. I've never seen that before. Is that?
That is actually a Scribner's error. That is the DP number for the facility plan.
Okay.
The actual resolution is 2023-29. That's what we're requesting for you to adopt, but the facility plan number itself will be DW010810.
Okay. And Mr. Attorney, would you go ahead and read that resolution as he's making his way up?
Yes, sir. It is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, State Revolving Fund, SRF, adoption of the Drinking Water Facility Plan for the implementation of drinking water improvements effective this date. And the appropriate motion is to pass resolution number 2023-29 at the appropriate time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. As Jamie mentioned, I'm Justin DeMello, a principal, project manager, and engineer with Woodard & Curran. City has asked us to basically fill out your facility plan for you, do the evaluation around what the future for Newberry lies in terms of drinking water, solving both pressure problems as well as fire flow, ISO ratings, other things as to meet current demand as well as future demand. So as Jamie so eloquently put it, the facility plan process through DEP requires this adoption of a resolution, the review of the alternatives that were in the report, and the final public participation, which is this portion of the meeting. So prepared a brief presentation for you. We're going to walk through the facility plan recommendations and ultimately look for questions both from the commission and the public, and hopefully towards an adoption of a drinking water facility plan to submit to the state. That will in turn go towards future grant as well as principal forgiveness and low interest loans through the Department of Environmental Protection for subsequent design and construction efforts. So the drinking water facilities plan that was evaluated was really hyper-focused on elevated storage, or just storage in general. As part of that, we had to look at different alternatives. The alternatives included the cost of not only the capital equipment, but also the life cycle cost of, well, how long it's going to last and what the costs of maintaining that piece of equipment are in the long term. So had to evaluate several elements as well as an environmental review as well. Make sure that new equipment wasn't going to pose any significant environmental impact. So as part of that facilities plan, we've got the public comment, city discussion, and consideration of resolution. So in terms of the city, you've got really a couple elevated storage tanks right now, 150,000 gallons and 300,000 gallons. Based on what we analyzed for the city and the future needs to meet, the maximum daily demand as well as the fire flow, is that we were going to likely see another 500,000 gallon requirement. And one of the biggest reasons of that requirement is redundancy in your system. Right now, your largest elevated storage tank, 300,000 gallon, cannot be taken down out of service for maintenance without significant impacts on your water system. So having redundancy is a critical part of this evaluation. For a city of your size, growing in your ways, it's important to have that fire flow protection in case something happens, or in the event you want to provide proactive maintenance of your equipment. So we evaluated several different alternatives, from ground storage to fluted column tanks. But what we selected ultimately based on the lowest life cycle cost was a pedosphere type of elevated storage. The project cost of that was $5.7 million, roughly, 5.75 to be exact. Based on our evaluation of your existing customer rates, we found that right now they are projected to be able to cover the estimated cost of that project based on a principal forgiveness and low interest loan option with no increase in no estimated rate increase anticipated. So very good from a management standpoint of your financials. As well as the environmental impacts, we did an evaluation citywide as well as specific sites, and we didn't find any known permanent negative impacts associated with adding an elevated storage tank within the city.
Hang on for 1 second for a question, Commissioner Martin.
Can you go back one slide?
Sure.
Are all of those classified as the pedosphere, or is one of them of the four?
No, so the one that's classified as the pedosphere would be the one on the left. The lefternmost, all the way on,
Okay.
Your left, my left, yeah. You can see here, when we did evaluate the different alternatives, again, looking at a 20-year design life, capital costs for the pedosphere as well as the ground storage tank, meaning the first and third alternative, were very similar. In fact, the ground storage tank provided a lower capital investment cost, but due to the requirements of pumping, electric and maintenance, the O&M long-term costs of that one significantly outweighed the pedosphere, and thus the pedosphere was the selected and recommended alternative, coming in just under $6 million for the total life cycle cost of it. This one's a little hard to see, but right now we're looking at a schedule of getting this prepared to submit to DEP for their next funding hearing. That will put us, moving forward, put the city in position of moving forward with design starting in August, with construction slated for early next spring into summer, with about a 1 to 1.5 year construction window on finishing. So wrapping up the project in 2026. So with that, summarizing the technical and financial review, I'll open it up to Commissioner questions or comments, as well as discussion from the public.
Commission questions. Commissioner Martin.
So this is one tank at 500,000
That's right.
gallons,
Yep.
which is bigger than the other two.
Very
Right.
low, yeah. Good, very good sized tank, yeah.
And what were the projections as far as how many people it could serve?
So we
Timeframe,
estimated about,
projection.
we had estimated, based on Bieber and some other census data, about a 4% year-over-year growth over the 20-year life cycle. So in terms of projections, I mean, you're essentially doubling, the population over the 20 years.
You asked about the location? This the one on 27 that we're talking about? 26?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this would be located south of State Road 26, east of town.
Other questions?
Behind the nursery? Yes. Or in front of the nursery? I can't remember how that works.
Well, we gave them a little bit of flexibility.
It's located, the initial site is located south of the nursery, but that's all pending geotech. The geotech's underway now. Once we determine where the most suitable geotechnical location to construct the tank foundation-wise, then we will nail the site down.
Commissioner Martin?
Has that location been figured into the construction and all that stuff? Or?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is going to be located somewhere on the Tanglewood property. That development has to provide a site for the tank as part of the development order condition. We're currently doing geotech at one location there. Should it prove unsuitable, we would look at alternate sites within the Tanglewood development.
Aren't we also talking about this one, or a tank?
I think you missed this meeting. There were some people that showed up.
No, I was here for that one.
Okay.
No, my question was whether or not, did we not have some discussions about whether we needed another one down near our Nations?
There is a potential development on the southwestern portion of the city. If it was to move forward, it would be necessary that there be a elevated storage tank constructed there as well. Currently, with your annual average daily demand, average of 670,000 gallons, roughly you should have around 900,000 gallons of storage at today's demand. This tank would get you to the 900,000 gallons per day of storage and would facilitate, as Mr. DeMello said, right now, by Florida Administrative Code, every 5 years, you have to take the elevated tanks all the way down and do any necessary maintenance work or provide engineering inspection. If we only have to do inspection, we can do some of that with dive inspections. If you actually have to do a liner inside the tank, you have to take that tank out of service for weeks while it's being sandblasted and painted. That leaves us in a situation where we have to supply all the potable water and fire flow with 150,000 gallons of storage, a small one here. So that's not really practical, nor is it the most pragmatic approach to ensure that we can guarantee fire protection.
Commissioner Coleman.
Jamie, will this, if we were to stay in the city limits but go outside of our urban services heading east, provide that way, we'll be okay, wouldn't we? I mean, with that much, or are we going uphill or whatever you can't do?
The location of this particular site is slated to be at the same elevation as our existing tanks. It'll basically be floating on the system. We have a 12-inch line on the north side of 26 that we would connect to this and would loop it back to town. It'll also facilitate expansion to the east or the south. So this elevated tank would be able to serve not only that quadrant and any development along the State Road 26 East corridor, but also provide fire protection and basically pressure for the rest of the city.
Other questions from the dais? If there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-29. I have a motion from Commissioner Maison, a second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments or questions on the motion for the dais?
No.
I just got a motion. I just got the motion. I tell you, man, y'all coming at me from all sides of the room here tonight. My goodness gracious. Public comment. Do you have any public comment on the motion on the floor? Yeah, I appreciate it. No public comment, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Now, see, I am going to mess up, and nobody's going to send me a lifeline here because they're going to be afraid. Okay, so new item 9, old item 10, impact fee ordinance is now just a discussion. Dallas, take us through what staff is proposing here. And since I think the bulk of the folks in the audience are here to listen to this, hopefully we can all listen to it, and then we can ask them some questions after that for the conversation. So take it away, Dallas.
I know. So the mayor's getting back at me for interrupting his flow. Well, Mr. Mayor, oh, good.
There we go.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, we are here tonight to discuss, once again, the impact fee ordinances. The original recommended motion was to move to adopt. However, we're going to provide some options to the commission tonight and then look for your feedback. So the amended recommended motion is to provide feedback to staff to give us direction on how to draft the ordinance to bring back at a subsequent meeting for the commission's consideration. So some background and purpose of the impact fees. This is going to be a lot of the presentation I provided last time, but I have tried to narrow it down. The first part I'd like to hit on is adoption of your impact fees does meet 9 of the strategic goals that the commission adopted in its strategic plan last year. Most of those goals relate to developing additional funding mechanisms to support infrastructure, rebuilding infrastructure, supporting safe and effective transportation networks, as well as community planning, parks and recreation, and those areas that impact fees will be able to fund should they be adopted. To remind the commission, impact fees are a one-time capital charge that are charged to new development. It covers the cost of capital facilities, and it implements your capital improvement plans. Impact fees defray the burden of new development from your existing taxpayers. They allow the new taxpayers moving into the community to bear the cost of the impact they'll have on your infrastructure, so that your existing taxpayers don't have to pay additional taxes to increase capacity of your infrastructure. Generally, your impact fees are rolled into the mortgage of the homeowner or your business owner. Looking at the impact fees proposed at the last meeting, with current rates, it'd be about $35 a month rolled into an average homeowner's mortgage. So why do communities look at impact fees? The biggest reason is to maintain your current level of service. Impact fees are designed to offset those costs, to maintain if you currently have a grade A road and you have more residents, it maintains that grade A road. It offsets the cost of large developments, and it's generally needed when you have high growth and limited funding, which Newberry is certainly in. And then as a reminder, people often ask why property taxes don't pay for these things. Property taxes generally fund ongoing maintenance. They don't pay for the expansion of your assets, certainly not at the rate our property taxes are currently set. Additionally, as mentioned before, property taxes are paid by all of your residents, not just the new residents moving into the community who are requiring us to make those investments in your infrastructure. There's a lot of legal requirements that go around Florida state statutes related to the adoption of impact fees and using of impact fees. So this slide is basically just there to remind the commission that there's lots of rules about impact fees. Your prior actions, at the first meeting in March, the City Commission did adopt, pass upon first reading, the impact fee ordinance with the caveat that they would like to set the impact fees at 80% with a 10% increase for 2 years to get to 10%. City Commission also asked a couple of questions for information for us to bring back to you. One of them was the number of permits in the previous year that would have affected current residents, would have required current residents to pay impact fees. We went back through our records. We found 3 permits that would have qualified for an impact fee from a residential expansion, and all of those were about $1,500. We also had some questions about Florida statutes and the adoption and changing of impact fees once they are adopted. Here is the section of Florida statute that specifically speaks to adoption and changing of impact fee rates. The key parts of the statute that I think the commission was looking for is subsection E, which says once an impact fee is adopted, it cannot be increased more than once every 4 years. There was conversation of whether or not we could come back and change the impact fees after you adopted them. State statute here seems to say you'd have to wait 4 years before you change them again. There is a caveat that if you wanted to change them before that 4 years, you could do another study. You'd have to have 2 publicly noticed workshops dedicated only to impact fees, and you'd have to adopt those impact fees by a supermajority.
So Dallas, are you saying that, because before it was you could increase it 12% a year up until the 100%. Now
So
you're
that
saying
counts as one increase.
One
It's just
increase.
spread over 4 years. But you've only increased them one time. It's stepped in.
So if you preordain in the ordinance 80, 10, 10, that's one increase.
Correct.
If you say 80% and you don't put it in the ordinance that you're increasing 10, 10, then you can only increase it one time at a limit of 12% over the course of 4 years.
Correct. You could increase it once and you have to wait 4 years to increase it again.
Without
Or
doing
do
a
all this
study.
other stuff.
Okay, does everybody follow that?
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, because we got a lot of questions on this one, so please.
So let's say the commission adopted the impact fees at 80%.
That's right.
With nothing else. Next year, you could increase them to 90%, but then you would not be able to increase them again for 4 more years. If you adopted them at 80% with a 10% step in for 2 years, you're allowed to do that because that's only one increase. You've increased them one time in one hearing.
So over a 4-year period of time, if you don't put it into the ordinance, the most you could do is a 12%.
You're effectively increasing them to 100%. You're just stepping it in. You're not increasing them twice. You're increasing to 100% over 2 years. It's one increase. Clear as mud.
Yeah. And that doesn't affect decreases. We can decrease it.
You can
as many-
decrease impact fees anytime.
But once you decrease it, you can't go back up if you've already increased it one time.
Correct.
Okay.
You'd have to wait 4 years.
You gotta wait 4 years.
Right.
Or again,
do the study.
Do all this other stuff.
All right.
Okay. So we, as the commission knows, you hired a professional consultant to calculate these impact fees for you. These are some of the impact fees that have been calculated for public buildings. The column in red is the 100% impact fee. The commission directed us to draft an ordinance that implemented them at 80%. So that 80% fee is in that far right column for you. Here is that comparison updated with the 80% fee. Point of note is Alachua County last adopted theirs in 2007. However, on the county commission's agenda tomorrow is the county's discussion of increasing their impact fees. Based off a cursory glance, residential impact fees look to be going up about 22% on all residential between fire, parks, and their roads impact fees. So these numbers you see here are their currently existing numbers. However, like I said, they are considering increasing close to 22%. These are the updated revenue projections based on 80% for public buildings. The public building impact fee would generate about $175,000 at the 80%. Those revenues, as the commission may remember, can be spent for new general government buildings, new fire stations, expansions to existing buildings, land for future buildings and additions, new equipment and apparatus for those buildings. So when the commission gets to a point where it needs to open a second fire station, public building impact fees could pay for the fire station and the equipment to equip that fire station.
And Dallas, you got that estimated funding level based on the last 5 years of growth, 10 years of growth, 1 year of growth?
Mr. Mayor, that projected revenue is coming from the projections of building permits, the same projections that we've used in the facility plan that Mr. DeMello just presented. So it is our projections based off of developments that have been given development rights, as well as some other Bieber information. It's the same information we've used for all of our other population projections and permit projections.
Okay.
So moving into the multimodal impact fee. This impact fee.
Is your mic on?
So one of the things that I think is, and I know this is the public buildings, we're gonna get into the road impacts in a minute, correct?
Right now.
But everything we do here is per 1,000 square foot. That's what we need to be clear on here. I don't know that we're all reading this correctly. There's things here that when we do this, it's $1,500, it's per 1,000 square foot.
Well, for retail, it's per 1,000 square foot of leasable area, but yes.
Per 1,000. So if we get somebody that comes in here on a 10,000 square foot building, 20,000 square foot building, buddy, we are knocking them in the head.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm
just saying, I want to be clear that the dais even knows that when we see these numbers over here, these are per 1,000 square foot. This ain't a one-time shot here. And so we just need to be clear on it. I ain't trying to kill it. I just want to be clear. So, and some of the public buildings, I think we're going to really see it when we get into our road taxes, what we would be doing to it. But the housing, I'm all about. We need to do something, but I'm just saying this while we're sitting here for a discussion. Be clear on what we're looking at in the units for people to see. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, moving into multimodal, and Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Clark's point is well taken. Staff has some recommendations on the non-residential impact fees we'll discuss at the end. Multimodal transportation impact fees. These impact fees generally can pay for roads, sidewalks, street lighting, bicycle paths, those sorts of items that increase capacity in your road network. So your calculated fee, again, is here in the red. That's the most you should be able to go to. The 80% the commission adopted is in that far right-hand corner. Again, this is your comparison. Again, note that Alachua County is considering increasing theirs by 22%. So it's currently $5,300, where ours would be $5,400, and they are considering another 22% increase on that $5,300. Again, comparisons to other areas, the same information provided at the last meeting. Our projected revenue at 80% is about $750,000 annually for the first several years, with some increases and decreases over the next 10 to 15 years. That revenue would be available for the City Commission to bond to use for road projects. As a reminder, about $100,000 in annual debt service gets you about $1.5 million in bond revenue. So if you took $500,000, I can't do that math, but if you took $100,000 in bond, you get $1.5 million. If you took $1 million and bonded it, you'd get $15 million. So the next step is for you guys to provide us some information. Like I said, we had a recommended motion, but we're looking for guidance. City staff does have a couple of recommendations based off of input we've received from the commission, understanding the commission's desire to incentivize commercial development and to balance that with the need for us to fund transportation and public building projects within the city. City staff initially was going to present that commercial impact fees were adopted at a 50% limit. So instead of the 80% with 10%, we were going to propose just 50% of the commercial, non-residential fee. However, upon some conversations and in order to continue to incentivize commercial growth, we are proposing that the City Commission adopt residential impact fees at 80% with a 10% increase for 2 years, and then adopt commercial impact fees at 0% with a 10% increase for 5 years, which would get you to 50% total impact at the end of those 5 years. That would be beyond that 4-year period. The commission could then reconsider. That's what I've got. So the current proposal that staff is proposing is keep the residential the same, 80% with a 10% increase for 2 years. For non-residential, it would be increase it from 0 to 50% over 5 years. So implement them at 0% this year, and then every year for 5 years, they'd increase 10% until they maxed out at 50% of the proposed total.
And Dallas would explain to me, so we can increase it one time over 4 years, unless we put it into the ordinance. And then we'll spend, if you come in at a 0, that gives us a year to go back to those 1,000 square foot sections, right? And we could reanalyze how we're assessing that within the bounds of our consultants, right? I mean, the guiding principle here has always been we want to be just under our competitors, right? So what does that do? What does the updated information that you can only increase once every 4 years do to our ability to then go back and look at the formula itself and see, can we change the square footage? Can we, how does that?
Mr. Mayor, if you change the square footage, essentially you would just change the impact fee to result in the same impact. The formulas that have been established by our consultant are those that have been court tested and court approved. Like I said, there are lots of laws and case law around impact fees. We would not recommend that you change the way the fees are assessed because those have been upheld by the courts. If you go to a different methodology, there is the potential that you could be sued and lose that lawsuit and have to refund those impact fees.
Okay.
But I don't want to step too much into the attorney's area,
But if the commission says tonight, and we're not voting tonight, hypothetically, 0, 10, 10, 10 to 5 years, halfway through the year, they could put off and say, well, we don't want to increase it this year, but that still gives you the ability to go the other 4 10s. Can they kick that? This whole increase 1 and 4 year thing.
The
is kinda
4
throwing me
years is a
off.
rolling 4 years.
Right.
So if you increase it, then it's 4 years from when you increased it.
But let's say they didn't want to increase it in year 2. They wanted to leave it at 0 for 1 more year.
You can always decrease.
Okay, but
Now,
that doesn't change the ability to then do 10% in year 3, because that was already in the ordinance. It should have been 20, but it'll only be 10. We just skipped a year.
You can always decrease.
We can always,
which is effectively what you'd be doing.
Okay, so you can decrease that 1 reading or 2?
2, it's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance, okay. So we can decrease it. All right,
Now,
I think I got it.
Caveat to wear my finance director hat. If the commission intends to bond this money, the bonding agencies are going to want some security that the impact fees, I mean, you're going to have to, if you bond it, you have to pay it anyways.
Has the formula changed that much since 2007? Because some of the comments that we got back from the public was that this 1,000 square foot model throws us way out of whack with our competitors. So when the county updates theirs, are they going to be looking at this 1,000 square foot model?
The counties is like the same model. almost every impact
So the out of
ordinance I've
whack
looked
is
at,
just that they haven't updated theirs
They just have low
in
fees.
16 years.
right, which they're trying to cure tomorrow.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
every impact ordinance I have seen across the state, which is many, it is all based off of square footage.
1,000 square foot blocks. Okay.
Based on those different, for residential, it's dwelling units, and, for a movie theater, it's seats. But it has to be based off of something that you can tie back to people driving cars.
Okay. Discussion item, right?
Discussion
But we want to give, I think what we want to effort towards though is giving some really clear, we can go 80, 10, 10, and I think we could shift it to 70, 10, 10, 10. That's a minor change, and Scott can correct me if I'm wrong. I think what staff is proposing, and the reason that we changed this from a voting item to a discussion item, is that 80, 10, 10 on the commercial side down to 0, that would represent a big change that we hadn't communicated to the public yet. So our goal tonight should be to get roundabout where we think we want to land, right, on the second reading. Commissioner
Mr. Mayor,
Clark.
could I have a couple questions? So, couple questions. As we went through this right here, we got our brief, this one right here, but I do not see anything in here besides a few of the very few industrial things, but I got a list here with everything that we're gonna do. The consultant give us a list of everything and how to charge these impact fees. So for a health and fitness club, $18,000 per 1,000 square feet. If BIM up there goes another 4,000 square feet, we ain't gonna have no businesses. So let's just, and that's what I wanna be clear on. We don't need to take what the consultant give us, we make our own price. We can make our own price per 1,000 square foot if we stick to the 1,000 square foot because it's court cased.
You can go under.
You can go under. What I would
We can
caution
make our
again,
own.
I would caution, do it you across the board. So all non-residential is 50% or 75% or 25%. Don't pick and choose that health and fitness is gonna be 10%.
No,
and
I'm
movie
using this
theater.
example.
Yeah.
My point
Yes,
is.
you can go under.
Can we go right here? Scott's right here, if you need to say yea or nay. If you went in here and this becomes a discussion item. So a golf course wants to come to town, we wanna charge him 19,000 per hole. Can we take all of these recommended pricing and go to what we think?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's what
Wait,
staff's recommending.
I think y'all are asking too. We can take a percentage. We can't go through and say, we want a golf course to be this, we want.
So we can, in other words, to be clear, $19,000, I say no, I want that at 5,000. We're not allowed to do that?
Can't do that.
We would not recommend that you pick and choose by class. Do it unilaterally across all.
You can say non-residential, I want it to be 0%.
So.
But
we
you can't
take a
go through line
consultant's-
item and say, I want a gym to be this, I want a golf course to be this, I want this to be that.
So
There has
their
to be a formula.
recommendation per 1,000 square foot we have to stick to.
No, sir. You can go under. So if
The
you decide
price
you
can-
only
That's what I
want to
mean,
do.
go under.
Right, but you
Ever
can't
did
do it by category. You can say, I want all non-residential to only be 10% of those prices. But you can't say, I want golf courses to be 10% of the prices and
So we do have to do
healthcare
a
to be
percentage.
5%.
So
Okay.
it's gotta be a percentage that goes to
Of this-
residential, a percentage that goes to
across the board.
non-residential. and then
You have to
that
treat
percentage.
everybody the same.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was gonna treat everybody the same.
So now,
I'm pretty fair, I'm hard, but I'm fair.
What percentage is that you have, Clark?
Sir,
What percentage is that based off of?
I don't know. No, this is not a percentage, this is straight across the,
Well,
That's 100%.
this is
so that's
100%.
100%, so.
Straight across the board, that's what they recommend us charge.
No,
No.
Mr. Mayor, that is.
Hang on,
80%.
one
That
guy at a time, one guy at a time.
It's confusing, I've
Right.
got COVID.
I got it.
Okay, that, Mark,
It's 100%.
what you're projecting is 100%.
Yes.
What staff is recommending is 0%.
So, yeah.
0%.
I understand.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, I know we can't never go above and beyond, but
Right.
we can make all this lower. At
By
zero.
going 0%.
But we gotta do it as a non-residential
whole.
category. So you can do 50% of non-residential, you can't go through item by item.
Okay.
Right? So you guys could say tonight, we like staff's recommendation, 0%, 10, 10. We like staff's recommendation, we wanna do 0, 5, 5, 5, 5, right? whatever, y'all can do any percentage, but you can't go through and cherry pick different ones and say, I want to do 50% of that and 40% of that one, right? You got two umbrellas, right? Two windows, residential, non-residential. Wait, I think Mr. Clark still had, he said he had a
No,
couple.
I'm just saying, I think so if we're gonna do, we got our 100% money here, and if we're looking for a percentage, I honestly think one thing is, I would like to go to the 70 personally, and then go up, because we see more
Are
inventory
we
on the
on
market.
residential now? or-
Residential.
Okay.
Because we talked about
I'm just
that
trying to keep
earlier.
the conversation clear.
70%, then we go up. But if we don't, right now, there's more inventory on the market than there's ever been. So I'm just wondering what we're doing.
All right, Commissioner Coleman?
Well, this is, I've been preaching commercial since I got on this dais. So here's the deal. Your ad valorem taxes on commercial, and I don't know if y'all know this, they're not like on a residential. Residential depreciates each year as it goes down. Commercial doesn't. The only thing that commercial gets hit with, now it will go down if they don't keep up their building, there's hardly any business flowing in and out. Yeah, they'll assess it that way. But the only thing on the commercial side that does go down each year is your intangible taxes. And they get knocked big time because they want to get that money up front quick because it goes down each year. So I had no clue because I didn't have time to do it. I was going to see today what a Publix is going to bring to the city of Newberry. Yeah, and I know it's off the chart.
It's about $380,000 a year. I'm just pulling that number randomly. Just
Oh,
pulling
so
that
you
number
did the
randomly.
homework.
Just,
Do you see where I'm at?
Yeah.
I honestly believe that we should, and it's beat on me and beat on me, but I believe we should leave commercial alone right now. Let's get some business in here. What I've been preaching and preaching. Let's go ahead and deal with the residential. I was looking more at a 60 to 65 on the residential and work up. But and let's chill out here. We got economy. It's awful. It's coming up. We want this commercial. Our ad valorem taxes. I mean, you're gold mine if you get. We have a gold mine because it doesn't depreciate as long as they keep up with everything.
well, and on that point, because not everybody comes to every meeting and hears the whole plan, but the commission has been really clear that we want to try to get the new growth to pay for their fair share, and we want to take that ability to then reduce the ad valorem for everyone else. So the idea here is to try to offset and reduce the ad valorem on everybody. We've got existing long-term residents here that have been paying for infrastructure. So if you haven't been to every single meeting, you might have missed that part. But that, to me, is a very important part, right? Is that the new people that are coming in, they pay for their infrastructure, and then we reduce the ad valorem, right? So that we see everybody gets a little something, right? Now, we can't do that except in the budget cycle, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, Commissioner, but.
Well, and the point is, these people that live in Tripp's neighborhood over there, they walk up there, they ride their golf carts, and they eat there. If they got I guarantee if they had a boutique there, the women would be there shopping. And it's no different than anything else here in Newberry. I don't think people in Newberry, if they know that Publix is here, you understand, they're not going to stop in Jonesville and fight that. They're going to come on home when they're coming back from Gainesville. Our local commercial, we don't need to touch, guys. That's where I'm at. For a while. We can look at this every year when it comes to commercial. But right now, I truly feel it's not a good thing for us to do.
All right, Dallas, and I'll come back to the dais.
Mr. Mayor, just one point. It is much easier to amend impact fees once they are adopted than it is to adopt new impact fees. So I understand Commissioner Coleman's points. I would recommend if the commission wants to provide a large incentive to commercial, adopt them at some rate, 5%, 10%. That way they're at least on the books. And that way, if you do want to amend them, it's easier. You don't have to go through this whole process again.
I don't know that legally you can not have anything on the commercial. I think we have to pass something. If you're gonna have impact fees, you gotta have something on the books that you've got. It could be 0% and it could be 80%, right? But it is possible for a commercial to object, or a residential developer to object and say, wait a minute, you're putting all the cost of the impact on the residential, none of it on the commercial, right? I have no problem with coming in at 0 on commercial and stepping in really slow, because in my view of impact fees, the point of an impact fee is to make sure that the people who are coming in creating our needs to have turn lanes, stop lights, those kinds of things are the ones that are paying for it. I think the majority of commercial comes to serve the people who are already here. So the impact has already happened, right? So if hypothetically a Publix comes to town, Publix is coming to town because they've already seen the population growth and they see the projected population growth and they want to capture it. But they're not bringing the impact. They're there to serve the already existing impact. Exactly. Now, they are creating some impact. I'm not arguing that, right? Which is why I think 0% now, right, gives us the opportunity to go back and have this conversation more, right? And then it always gives y'all the opportunity to say, I don't want to go up this year, right? I don't want to go up that year. So, but get something on it so that we can't be charged with you're trying to do all the impacts off the back of residential. It can be 0%, but it's there. And you've got some sort of step-in plan on it, whether that's 10% a year, 5% a year, whatever it is. Hang on one second, he might have something that changes the conversation.
Well, I would just, while I understand your point about 0%, the law, again, is percentages of what you adopt. So if you adopt a 0%, you can't adopt 12.5% increase of 0%.
Say that again now. Say that again.
The law says you can only increase 12.5% per year, up to 12.5%. If you have 12.5% of 0, you're adopting 0%.
But if we put it in the ordinance, we're going to 0% of the study and then to 10% of the study.
You can do that.
That's not increasing. I thought that's what we were talking about.
Okay. You had said 0%. I just wanted to clarify. You want 0% and then 10% increase?
Correct.
Okay.
And we're putting that in the ordinance. So it'd be 0% and then a 5% increase or 10%. I'm not multiplying anything by 0. That's the one kind of math I can do. But if we put it into
increase I was missing.
Yeah. Gotcha. If we put it in the ordinance that we are basing off the study, we're going to start at 0, then we're going to 10% of the study, 20% of the study, 30% of the study.
That makes perfect sense. I just want to make sure that we are doing the increase, not just adopting 0.
Okay. Does that make?
Yeah, but you need to understand, if I'm a developer and I got to choose between Jonesville and Newberry, if we got an impact fee, I'm talking about commercial, not residential, I'm going to Jonesville then, because there's more population there. Do you see where I'm at? I want the people here of Newberry, our citizens, to have that same convenience that Jonesville has.
Well, and the one nice thing about having this as a discussion is then the county will have their discussion tomorrow, and we'll see. Right now, our guiding principle is, and we want to be under our peers. Jonesville is regulated by Alachua County. They have an impact fee. So if you're comparing Jonesville to Newberry, it's about 20 to 25% more to develop in Jonesville than it is in Newberry today.
But to be successful as a restaurant or whatever, I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to Jonesville then. I'll pay that impact fee instead of Newberry's because there's more population, more traffic.
Hey, we got other commissioners want to get into, but if it's a pertinent number, like you can't do that. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to, for the commission's knowledge, a grocery store that would be built in Jonesville would currently pay the county $22,000 per 1,000 square feet, and the county is proposing to increase that to $29,581.
22,000 per square foot,
Going to 29.
Per thousand.
per thousand square foot.
The average grocery store, that would be there, 50,000 square feet, so it's 29,000 times 50 is the county's impact.
If you were to build a quick service restaurant, which is defined as casual delivery, drive up, fast casual, fast food and takeaway, the county is proposing $46,000 per 1,000 square feet.
Well, then that would be even,
Commissioner Clark?
so, to that point then, until we get there, that's probably why we don't need the impact fee on the commercial. Right
And-
now, we don't have it.
Right.
So I'm just saying, that would be a great point. If they want to go there and pay that, so be it. But I think if we don't have it, Newberry will grow with some of these finer restaurants and buildings and stuff.
They'll
We
come
got
to us.
plenty of corridor out here to build on. The future's coming. We got a 10, 15, 20-year plan on some subdivisions coming up. I suppose if you do the zero on the commercial, if you have to, is it law that we have to? It's just easier, I understand that. Is there a law, Mr. Attorney, that we do these together? Yes. There is a law. So if you come in at zero, you put a moratorium on it for 3 years or 5 years?
Well, you come in and you put the increase in the ordinance so that you can increase it. Otherwise, you can only increase it one time over a 4-year period. Doesn't mean that you have to. You don't
Right.
have to.
We don't have to.
But you gotta put it in there.
What's gonna happen when we're all gone is how quick could they increase?
They can't once every 4 years. And 12%.
So 10%?
12.
Or 12?
12 and a half.
And then 4 years?
No,
You just, at one time, right? 12 and a half, 4
well,
years?
but you can increase it to 50% with a 12 and a half increase every year for 4 years.
But at that
But
point,
that's one increase. But
If
you can
it's
only do
written
that
into
every
the
4
ordinance.
years. I
Right.
talk to your legislatures.
Well, I wouldn't have knew that math stuff.
All right, Commissioner Martin?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm done, Mr. Mayor.
No. I'm not in favor of impact fees at all. My rub with them is I don't think that they actually pan out the way that we hope that they will or that we expect that they will. A lot of the confusion in the conversation up here, just alone, tells me this is sort of a Gordian knot that's very hard to untie. When we talk about commercial, if we're going to say that they service the people that are already here, then those people are already here. There isn't necessarily the impact that we have to potentially worry about. Being good stewards to our customers, our constituents, encourages us to have commercial growth here so they don't have to drive 6 miles to Jonesville and 6 miles back to Jonesville. They don't have to eat up the gas. They don't have to eat up the wear and tear on the roads. Commissioner Coleman made a good point, particularly folks in the town square, for instance. You know, they're walking up there, they're riding their bicycles or their golf carts, so there's not really an impact necessarily there. And when they buy that home in the community, in my mind, they're paying for the road from 27 inward as part of the purchase price of their home. So they've paid for that, and any future expansion that's needed, they are now a resident and they're paying taxes annually for that expense through their ad valorem. If we're going to encourage commercial growth, there certainly isn't a financial argument to be even made there. I think the impact fee should be zero. Guys, I don't think that we have necessarily an income problem here, and I don't think we have a spending problem either. So to some extent, for me, in my head, this is a little bit of a solution looking for a problem that I don't necessarily think that we have.
Okay. I mean, I would say that Commissioner Martin is right if you don't want to pave 30th, if you don't want to add on to City Hall, if you don't want to fix 15th, if you don't want to do the projects that the majority of our residents around are asking us to do. Your ad valorem taxes, absolutely, as staff said, pay to maintain the infrastructure that's here. Those new infrastructure projects that we wouldn't need if it wasn't for the new development, that's exactly where impact fees go. And it's this board's job to make sure that the money goes exactly where you say it's going to go. And that's why Dallas and his team for the past 4 years have won the highest rating of transparency in accounting, so we can show people that that's exactly where that money is going. Commissioner Coleman?
Let's don't forget that we already got a brand new road tax that we're getting millions. Not trying to bucket there, it's just that, we're getting quite a bit of money that, and I know I don't like borrowing against our own money, but, I mean, not trying to go off on find another rabbit hole to get in, but I would rather borrow against the money that the county's gonna give us and fix our roads than hit a commercial.
Look, the commercial's at zero. Commercial's at zero.
You swear?
That's what staff is. So commercials at zero, and you guys could put a 2% increase for that, right? I mean, again, ideologically, residential, that's causing the impact. The commercial is here to serve the impact. So I think you guys have to pass 0% and an increase in there, right?
Right.
That way we make sure we've got something on the books for both sides, right? But the commercial's at zero, and you guys just have to hash out, you got 2 weeks to do it, what that increase, what that step is gonna be, whether it's 10%, 5%, 2%, right? But the residential is causing the impact, and we get hit every single day with residents that say, when are you fixing this road? When are you fixing that road? I know that the residents that are in here tonight are our developers, and that's why we're thinking about the 0%, because we want to be good partners with the folks that are also bringing us the commercial, right? But the people who aren't in here are the folks that are saying, when are you gonna fix my sidewalk, right? When are you gonna fix all these other kinds of things, right? So that's how we got here, was Commissioner Clark saying, where's the money coming from to do all these projects that we're hitting? But commercials at zero, right? Hang on one second. I think Commissioner Martin wanted to respond.
You're right.
Well, how do you remedy then the person who's living on 62nd Avenue paying to pave Southwest 30th Avenue? You know, if we got the commercial in here, they're paying ad valorem, are they not, every year? Couldn't we not use that money to do some of these projects? I mean, the infrastructure tax that we're gonna be paying at the pump is just more money out of our residents' pockets. So, to me, it starts feeling like double and or triple dipping on everybody. We're hitting them at the ad valorem, we're hitting them at the gas pump, we're hitting them at the impact. That's where it gets very gray and wonky for me, and I prefer clarity, and I support things with the level of clarity. And when we have these sorts of discussions with all this stuff kind of flying around, that's where you kind of lose me.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like this better, because I like clarity too. And I know that this has been confusing, but I hate property taxes. I hate property taxes. Government can take property taxes and they can say, oh, I'm raising the property tax for this, and then next year go use it for that. Fees, permits, you cannot use them for anything other than what they are passed for. So I know that this is a confusing topic, but at the end of the day, impact fees are much clearer. You're paying this, it's going to the road. We can't use it for anything else, right? It goes into that category, it goes into that pot. So if you want to do, you cannot pass impact fees, but if you want to do those other projects, then you're back to ad valorem. And then the businesses are getting double whammied there again, right? Because they're going to be paying more in property taxes, and the other folks are not going to be paying their fair share. And the folks that have already been here and paid for the infrastructure, right? Where's their relief, right? They're now having to deal with the congestion. They're having to deal with the traffic. They've got to deal with the new folks coming in, right? And we don't have the turn lane. So this is a way to clearly assess specific costs onto the specific people that is creating the need. And And we don't have to do it through property taxes. And then government cannot take that money and spend it anywhere else. It has to be spent in the category that it is set, which is not true at all about property taxes, which is why I would say we should do everything through permits and fees, because then you know exactly what it is. It's easy to track the increases. You can't track the increase or the decrease in property taxes. It goes up, property values go down, they go up, it changes, it shifts, it's, you know, and there's no law that says y'all have to spend property taxes on anything that you pass the property tax to spend on. For a fee, permit, it's gotta be spent exactly where you say it's gonna be spent. I can see that the fee was $5,000 last year, it's $5,500 this year, and they can come up here and say, what's the other 500 for? Nobody can ever come up here and say, well, it was 4.89 last year and now it's 5.1. Where'd the rest of the difference go? That gets really confusing.
I'll grant you the point that I do appreciate the fact that it does sort of tie the money collected to something that the money is spent. But the residents also have that ability through voting. Every 2 years, we sit up here, and that voting is their voice of whether you're doing what you say you're doing or what you're not doing also.
Do we have any other comments up here, Commissioner Clark?
I know we were talking about some rules and some laws, so, and Mr. Mayor, I asked you today, but if we started the impact fee tomorrow on the residential, is there a law that it has to be 90 days?
90 days.
And that goes back to the state?
And remember, if you've got construction plan approval, you're grandfathered in. Mike?
Mr. Mayor, on that point, the commission gave us direction on developments that have made it to a certain phase, initiated that development understanding a certain financial future or their best understanding of it, and this was more than just the price of lumber went up a little bit. So the commission asked us to develop a list that would be excluded from the impact fee. That list totals a little more than 500 lots, and the revenue impact, is that correct? It's a pretty significant revenue impact. It's a lot of units, and it's
Mr. Mayor, on the residential side, it's approximately 500 units at, when you factor in the 80% and 10 and 10, comes out to be roughly $2.8 million in change that would be exempted. On the commercial side, we don't have nearly as many commercial projects in the wings right now, but it would be somewhere around the $1 million range, I think it was. So that's the way it played out. And that wasn't even factoring the 50%, that was, or 0% leading to 50, that was at 100%.
And Mr. Mayor, I just brought that up because, one, we're here to do whatever the commission wants, but if you ask us to develop a plan for 80% of what was recommended or the maximum allowable with a 10% increase and a 10% increase, and we've done that. And I've heard tonight suggestions that on the residential side that needs to be backed up to 70 or 60 potentially, and that's fine if that's what the commission wants. But I wanted to remind the commission that the exception list totals more than 500 lots. So they're not backing up to 80 or 70 or 60% of the recommended impact fee. They're backing up to no percent of the recommended impact fee because the commission feels like they're in a certain part in the process and that it's too late in the game to change the rules per se. So as a reminder of other things that the commission has asked us to do that are included in the ordinance as it's written tonight.
And I would just remind that I see this as a century thing, right?
That's right.
100 years from now, no one's going to care that we let 500 houses slip through the cracks or that we stepped into the commercial, right? It's going to be, did you set the table for success in the future? And however slowly you guys want to step us into there, that's y'all's call. But at some point, we got to figure out how are we going to do some of these big projects that our residents have asked us repeatedly to do. I know we got a lot of folks in the audience that want to speak to this. Do we got any other commissioners that want to?
No, go ahead.
Want to? Dallas, were you coming back up? Okay. Public comment. The proposal on the table from staff is 0% on the commercial, 10% increase over 5 years, 80% on the residential, 10% increase over 3 years, or 2 more years. Anybody want to speak? You waited all this time. Now, don't be the first one to rush on up
Come
here.
on.
There you, look, you drew the short straw.
My name is Lee Smith. I own a couple businesses here in town, and I appreciate the fact that you were willing to at least look at it because it is impactful on a small developer like myself. So I got a few things I would like to do in the future, and this would hinder it if there was a huge impact fee, just to be honest with you. So I appreciate that you're at least considering the reduction. Thanks.
I think the reduction sounds to me like it's probably a given at this point, but. Other. And now that the room's cleared out, if y'all want to move back to the edges, I know I asked you to move in whenever it was a crowd.
I'm Billy Belts. We have a small business in town, and first I'd like to thank all of y'all for being here. I know you're taking time away from your family, and this is a job in itself. So I appreciate the opportunity. Just wanted to clarify that there would be opportunity to meet with staff, and I have 6 or 7 things after I read through the ordinance, so it's just general housekeeping things. Would there be opportunity to meet with staff to talk about it between now and then? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Of course.
Like the developer's contribution, when they pay for the CO, I mean, the impact fee should be when they get their certificate of occupancy, not when you apply for the building permit. Because a lot happens between when you apply for the building permit and when you're totally done, as far as tenant mix and stuff like that. But I have 5 or 6 others, but appreciate your time, and I agree. I've had the opportunity to build in 21 and 22, built in 3 counties, built 30 houses in 24 months. This time last year, I'd closed on 6 or 8 houses. I've closed on no houses this quarter. It is bad out there. I looked up the company who's doing this. They have 1,000 employees, 50 offices throughout the United States. So this study, I would imagine, is a cut and paste from a lot of counties. Hernando County tonight is one of the counties that I work in. They're debating the same thing. They have a divided dais as well. Half the members don't want to increase it because they see things coming. Half want to increase it. Newberry's unique in the situation where you have 2 of the best site contractors in the county. You have one of the largest air conditioning subcontractors in the county. You have one of the best plumbers in the county. Pick up the phone, call these guys, and ask them, what are you bidding on in the future? This was done in 2022 when everything was super strong. It's not. If you look at the list of projects that Newberry printed out, 3 or 4 of those projects are on LoopNet for sale right now. So these projects that people have tried to get development rights for, I would look around at the people who are actually doing stuff in your community and take what they have to say over an out-of-town 1,000 employee, 50 office cut and paste fee schedule. And I disagree with Dallas. I think Dallas says that you can't be sued by these fee structures. I think the commission can decide what you charge per 1,000 square feet per different buildings. I don't think you can be sued. I don't think you can be sued for the formula, but I think you can assign, because there might be something that you want to attract to Newberry. I don't know, affordable health clinic or something. There might be something that y'all come up with that you want to reduce what they have, because I think some of these are just really expensive. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I just want to address one part of what you said. Our report was delayed almost a year because our staff pushed back on that company because they came forward with some numbers that our staff said, that's not local numbers. And so we went back and forth for a long period of time getting numbers based off of, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to speak. No, you're fine, right? You stay right there. based off of local contractors and local costs. So we did do that work because the first round was exactly what you said, and they brought numbers that were way out of whack for here. Go ahead, come on down.
Hey, I'm Christiana Norfleet, and I would just like to thank the commission and the mayor and all of y'all for letting me speak and letting all of us speak. I know y'all have a very hard job, so thank y'all for listening. Talking about the residential impact fees, Newberry's potential residential impact fees will be 57% higher on a 2,500 square foot home than Alachua County's residential impact fees. So Alachua County's residential impact fees for a 2,500 square foot home right now, I mean, I don't know if they're going to change it or not, is a $4,000 fee. And then Newberry's potential impact fees for a 2,500 square foot home is $6,945 fee, and that's if it's at 100%. So that is quite a bit higher than Alachua County's impact fee. And then going to, I know there's talk about, a lot of the dirt roads that want to be paved, and I understand that, but when you buy on a dirt road, the property is less, so you don't pay as much, and so the value isn't there, and I just don't understand why exactly we would be paying for the dirt roads to be paved. And then the people that are already living in Newberry and have been living in Newberry, they did not pay impact fees for as much as I understand. So I just think we need to take a little bit more time to think about it and think about the cost and how much and everything. But really appreciate y'all for listening and letting me speak. So thank y'all.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to the county meeting the other night. That was a good 5 hours of your life there. I'm sure you wish you had back.
Hello, Commission. Bobby Pravat, owner of Coleman Construction here in town. About the last 3 years, we haven't done a whole lot of commercial development, a lot of residential developments that we've had impacts on. We know that we've impacted the community in different ways. I know the developer's cost is astronomical when he puts forth the money to build the infrastructure and turn it over to the city to take in. I know we need ways to improve our road systems. Just want to encourage that we don't open the door, like Mr. Clark said earlier, that what happens when we're voted out and it comes back over, do we open up for not a level-minded commission to hit new developers and stop all building coming into town. So whatever we do to generate the funds that we need to generate, we make sure that we really think about each step of the way that we're going to go forth on it and make sure that that's where we're going to be in 10 years from now. I hope to have my company still running here in 10, 20 years from now. And I know I look at, like Mr. Lee here, I know he has a mechanic shop in town, but on that if I go to adding another bay, or he goes to adding more bays onto his building because he wants to expand, wants to take care of more growth, it's a heavier burden on a building that even exists. So what's grandfathered with time on the growth to my future development plans, even to my building, I hope with time I can expand right there, and going to make me have a thought of, do I want to continue to grow in Newberry, or do I want to step across the line to Gilchrist to do my additions in that direction? And so just think what we're doing and make sure that we're well thought through on what exactly is happening. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Come on down, sir. Still in public comment. Just introduce yourself one more time, just for the record.
I'm Ken Hicks. I'm retired. What you got to look at is the people that's on fixed incomes in here. You talk about going up $300-400 a year maybe on a. We bought our.
This is just for new folks. This wouldn't, if you're here, this doesn't affect you.
Okay, the problem I see with Newberry, my own personal feelings is, you don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the infrastructure to support more businesses. I mean, look at the backup past the school, and the schools. They got shacks, classrooms, what do I want to say, double wides sitting outside. They need a new school. But you're not going to have the people, the seniors aren't going to be able to afford to come here and pay the tax. They're going to go to the next county where taxes are half as much. I pay like $7,000 a year on a 2,500 square foot home, you know, and I don't mind it, but again, we're on fixed incomes. We got to seriously look whether we want to stay here or not. And I love the town and everything, but it's something that, you know, there's got to be some limits put on this. I understand you got to get money in to build the roads, but then you also have to get the people here. You know, it's catch-22. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment? Come on down, sir. Don't be shy.
Good evening. My name is Ken Metcalf. I'm the Director of Planning with Stearns Weaver Miller in Tallahassee. I'm here on behalf of Lexington Park 2 of Gainesville. They are the developer, as you may know, of the Sandia planned mixed-use development. And as you may recall, there are 2 phases to that project. There was an old 2018 development agreement. We're currently working with our client, and I know he's had meetings with the city manager in preparation for our drafting a second development agreement. As you may recall, the last ordinance that was approved for the city, approved by the city for the project, ordinance 2021-13, required that we come back and update the development agreement or do a new development agreement, mostly to incorporate phase 2 of the project because the original development agreement only dealt with phase 1. I'm here this evening. I sent a letter today from our office that I think each of you received. Okay. I had copies, and I apologize to Mr. Walker. We should have had you on our CC list.
I got it. The city sent it to me, got it right on my, but thank you.
Okay. You know, we were pleased to hear that you were postponing or continuing action on the impact fee ordinance. We have some concerns, as we've outlined in the letter, as to whether the credit provisions are consistent with the Florida statutory requirements. You know, the credit provisions, basically, impact fee credits are required by the statute where a developer comes in and builds a roadway or does an improvement that is covered by your impact fee ordinance. So, for example, if a developer came in and built, you know, a 2-lane road or built a 4-lane road and spent, you know, the example I give in the letter is if you spend $1 million on a road and the impact fees were for up to $750,000, that would leave a balance of $250,000 that should be available to transfer to other sites and under the statutory requirements. As your staff mentioned, these statutory provisions are somewhat complicated as they apply to impact fees, but we just want to make sure that we have the ability to get full credit, a dollar-for-dollar credit for the improvements that we build. That's really all we're asking. And we would like to work with your staff and with your consultant and your attorney on revised language in the ordinance to make sure that those credits are allowable at 100%, and then to address some other methodology concerns that we have.
All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here tonight. And speak for staff when I tell you they're always available. They love to talk government. Other public comment? Are y'all figuring out back there who's gonna say what, hitting all the different points?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to start off with, thank the Lord I ain't in front of the county commission tonight. From Tuesday night, I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was when I walked in the office. So I just want to say, you know, I thought we had good commissioners. We really do have good commissioners. We got a great staff too. I watched them get bushwhacked over there too. So, but anyways, I just wanted to say that to start with. And, but like you said, just talking about the impact fees and all, you know, by saying you got a good staff, and I think city's got probably one of the best staffs around, and I think they can do more with less than anybody. So, you know, maybe we don't need those super high impact fees. I sure think that the commercial, just to give you of the way the impact fees are now, and examples, the BMI gym, after it's expanded to 14,000 square foot, just on the road impacts, not talking about the public building, would be $252,000. That would be the impact. You know, a $30 membership a month, it'll take a long time to pay that back. The Stonehouse Grill would be about $125,000. And you know, when we did the Stonehouse Grill before, the staff was, when we got that permit, they were courteous enough to give me a call and said, hey, man, we think this permit's too much. And this has been a couple years ago. And matter of fact, it was Mike and Jamie and 3 or 4 of them sitting around. They said, you know, we don't think it's right. And so I said, man, he said, we'll just hold up a little bit if it's all right with you. I said, and I got about to get off the phone. I said, how much would it be? He said, it'd be about 90 or 95,000. I said, whew, that is crazy. But if you added an impact fee to it, $125,000, that'd kill us. And, you know, some of them said, you know, we think it would. We don't think it would cause impacts on the deal. You know, I think on that building 5 that we just started, I sent it to some of the commissioners, and I think I sent it to the mayor. When I sat down and figured it up, it was going to be the permit originally was going to be $192,000. I about had a heart attack. And then the staff helped me get it down for connection fees, and Jamie and Mike and Brian and all of them, to $130,000. But if you'd add the impact fees as they are now in commercial, I know y'all talking about getting rid of the commercial, and I suggest getting rid of all of it. It would have added $335,000 impact fees. So the total permit, if it would have stayed at 192, would have been $527,000. Ain't no way I could have built it. You know, maybe you'd got the big chains to come in here and pay that, but we couldn't pay it. And then, you know, I saw the different, just a couple of ones. A 10,000 square foot medical center would be $180,000. 18 old golf carts would be $252,000. The Publix, if it was 60,000 square foot, would be $700,000. And I know that's grandfathered in, but I'm not looking at the 2-year window. We're looking at 20 years out. And then, you know, just for example, 2002 to 2007, we missed out. We had a lot of houses built here from 2002 to 2006. And we missed out on commercial when they said the road trip stopped us. And I'll never forget, Keith Ashby was the city manager, and Lowell Garrett was in, so we just can't build. I said, well, how's Gainesville building? They said, well, they're exempt. And Scott, you remember this. And I said, well, they're exempt. I said, what about Orlando? Well, they're exempt. And I said, why can't we be exempt? They said, no, because we had a chance to get CVS here at the corner where the BP's at now. And, you know, when Aldrich was in here in the thing, and I said, hey, if we put a CVS there, I'd say we're not creating trips. We're not trying to get people from Ocala to come to it. We're keeping people to come from Jonesville. I mean, from Countryway or wherever can go there instead of go to Jonesville. So I think we're saving trips on the deal. And, you know, it's a few things like that. And, you know, I mean, like you said, these state roads are mostly impacted with your impact fees. You got 26, 41, Archer Road. And the state is never.
Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah. I thought we were still counting down. Now we're counting up. So just if you can, I was riveted to what you were saying. I wasn't listening to the light there. So if you just wrap it up so I can be fair to everybody.
But these states' road, the state is not proactive. They're reactive. It's just like I said, Keith Ashby said, well, ain't no way we can pave the road going to Easton. I said, pave it. What are they gonna do? Shut down 41? So the city paved it. What'd the state do? They put a turnoff on it a year later. So just some of the things you're thinking about, and just one thing on y'all's deal, instead of grandfathering in the 500 lots, start right away. And I understand you want money for the roads. What if you started away right away, and I'd be willing to pay it, $2,000 on the residential. Don't grandfather in the 500 lots. Get the money right now, so you could do some use.
I
How
appreciate
many
you.
missed I have? 2?
You went 4 and 7.
But I mean, no, that's pretty
Yeah.
short. I thought it was gonna be 5 in the meeting.
No, it's 5 at the end. 5 at the end. But you
Right,
did a
but
good job there.
But hey,
You
I
did a good
appreciate you
job.
guys letting us speak, and thank you guys for looking at it. I know y'all are all doing a great job trying to look at the thing. That's the commission and staff and everybody else, and we sure appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Other public comment? I apologize for letting going over. I really did get distracted.
Nobody's on
Kevin?
camera.
You let him take your 2 minutes. There we go. The universe is balanced again.
That's right.
Mr. McDaniel, did you come up just to listen tonight? Any other public comment tonight? Okay, this is just a discussion item, so I'm gonna bring it back up to the board. We do need to give some direction, right? And I did hear some different numbers getting thrown around for the residential. Let's take it one at a time, right? Because when we come back with this, I wanna have it written in, and we can make minor alterations, but if we do big vast ones, then we gotta, advertise that out. So are we good at the 80-20, 80-10-10? That's what we said the first time. I know where Commissioner Martin is, so I'm not looking at him. Do we want to go 70-10-10-10? 3? I need anybody reach for the mic. One person reach for the mic.
70-10.
Anybody reach for the mic. I got Commissioner Coleman.
65.
65. Now you're gonna make the math hard on me.
I know it.
Now you're gonna make the math hard on me. What were you?
I say 70-10-10.
70-10-10, Commissioner Farnsworth, you
I'll
got
do,
the 80 or?
no, I'll go 70-10-10.
I got 2 at 70-10-10-10. You'll do 70-10-10-10.
That's a 4.
I got 4, okay, commercial. I'm kinda thinking 0 and then 4% for 5 years. That means it top out at 20. And then you guys can always decrease later.
We're gonna go to 0. That's gonna be
0 first
implemented.
year, and then 4% a year for 5 years, you top out at 20% of.
And then at that 4-year mark, you can't touch it for 4 years?
Well, you guys could say at any point in the time, I don't want to increase 40% this year.
Right, you can do it annual.
Right, well,
Let's
it's in the ordinance at 4, that way it's something is in writing, right? But it gives you the opportunity to say, we're gonna skip this year's increase. You can always decrease, you can't go up more than what you say. Well, you can do one time in 4 years. All right, somebody else can throw out a different number.
I think.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
I'll go with 0.5 over 4 years.
5% a year over
4 years.
over 4 years to get to 20. Okay, so 0%, 5%, we still end up at 20 is where we top out. Commissioner Clark?
I'm at 0 with it. I don't know about the implementation yet.
We know, but we gotta have something in
We gotta
there.
have something in the
We gotta have
ordinance.
something in the ordinance, otherwise we have to go back and do this whole thing again. So I need some number. Y'all don't have to use the number, but there has to be some number. So I got, one is 0.
Then 5% at 4, but we vote on it annually? It's in the ordinance?
We don't vote on it annually, but any commissioner can bring it up and say, I want to vacate, I don't want to do that year's increase.
Okay.
So you're at, with Monty,
What?
0, and then for 4 years, 5% a year. Okay, I got 2 at 0, I got 3. Commissioner
We can
Coleman?
vacate as you,
And
as
as you can vacate, right.
What worries me about this whole thing here is that we're not gonna be here, and some of us might not be here.
Monty's gonna
after
be here
next year.
forever. What are you talking about? He never goes anywhere.
But we can't do
But
the
you-
residential without having a commercial.
You gotta have 2.
All right, I'm gonna go 0.
And then 5, 5, 5, 5.
1,
5,
1,
5,
1,
5,
1.
5.
Top out at 5.
All right, so I got 2. Where are you at, Commissioner Maison?
0.55.
You're at the 0.55.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do have a question though.
all right. We're just giving direction. We're gonna
And
play
you-
accounting, and we're gonna get to have this whole conversation twice.
And they've already got their residential set at 70%, but this is a question for me to you. So you mentioned residential at 0%, right? Because other funds can be paid to pave roads. Why are you at 0%? Just out of curiosity, just for me.
Kind of twofold. One, I don't like supporting things that just get very ambiguous. And this conversation kind of lends to that ambiguity to a certain extent. But the other thing is, when you buy a home, you have paid for the road to get to that home, you've paid for the pipe to get to that home,
Got it.
all the infrastructure to get to that home. So paying an impact fee on top of that, where I grant the mayor's point, it talks about specific projects later on, I do start to feel like it begins to double dip on somebody because now they're paying for the road again. Or
So
they're
what-
paying for expanded roads, or they're paying for roads that they're not necessarily driving on anymore, or ever. And then that kind of begs the question of, is that fair? Because you have these people paying for roads that they're never driving on. And there's pluses and minuses on both sides. Obviously, I'm in the minority here. But you know, just take it as a position of advocating for somebody who doesn't want them at all. That's all.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, based off of your theory, then over the course of how long you've been here, who's been here longest? You, Monty? Based off of your theory, then.
Christ was a corporal.
Yeah. So based off of your theory, then, with our constituents being, you feel that they've been taxed enough that we should be able to pave roads, then we shouldn't have any big projects then, because they should have been already paved. These roads have already been here.
Well, we're at a little bit of a tipping point where we haven't been able to get the commercial growth to foster, which generates those bigger ad valorem dollars. And although I admit it's a rumor that I've never been able to substantiate, when you look at a commercial tax burden, the commercial supposedly demands about 60% of the dollars that they actually paid. So we, as a taxing body in the city, make about 40 cents on the dollar on them. Whereas residential, I've always been told, actually they're a net loser on a tax burden. So for every dollar they spend, their services demanded are actually about $1.10 to $1.13. So you've got to have the mix in order to have better than a break even. So you make 40 on the commercial, you lose 13, your net's 27 when you have a mix. But right now we haven't been able to foster this commercial growth to help seesaw that back, to help us put money in the kitty for some of these other projects.
Ought to be done. So then, what money would we use to maintain the roads in the city?
We have ad valorem dollars that we have been spending. I think Dallas rattled off a whole series of projects that we have spent money for recently. We also have this new infrastructure tax that was passed by the voters just recently, and I don't know what the projections are for the amount of money that we would potentially be getting for road projects as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Coleman.
Mr. Mayor, for edification purposes, we anticipate getting $5 million from the road infrastructure tax and a matching $5 million from Wild Spaces Public Places for recreational projects over the 10-year taxation period.
Commissioner Coleman. Hang on, Commissioner Coleman.
I think it's imperative that we do on the residential side, and I'm good with the 70. Because all these new people are impacting us. I mean, traffic is, and these roads are awful. So, yeah, so I'll go with the 70, 10, 10.
Sure, Martin wasn't quite done.
Did we want to provide any sort of direction on the comment about grandfathering the 500 in, or levying some sort of small impact fee on those 500 and not granting them grandfather as well?
No, we've already given direction that I think I'd be interested in hearing the the end of the conversation about the CO versus the plat. I think that's a good conversation to have and see what that impact would be, but, I'm fine with grandfathering in. We came to that conversation because if I'm a developer and I've got a business model, and my business model was before impact fees, well, by the time I've got construction plans, I've already invested, and to put an impact fee after that fact throws my business model out of whack. If you are developing and you don't have your construction plans now, and impact fees are going to be part of it, now you have time to change your business model and sell that lot at a higher rate. So that was how we got there. I'm absolutely willing to continue talking, but again, in my mind, I think of the school board. Somebody brought up the school board, different governing body, and I have a lot to say about the school board, but the school board probably should have had impact fees, but they should have done it 30, 40 years ago, right? Yeah, so, you know, there's a tide of when you have to do these kinds of things in order to be in front of it instead of behind it. Jamie, just off the top of your head, to pave 30th, what's that projected cost? You know, I'm not gonna put you on the spot and hold you to that number, but sometimes you hear these, well, you're gonna get $5 million on the infrastructure tax, but how much is it gonna cost for us to pave that road to take some of the traffic off of Newberry Road?
Between design, permitting, any land acquisition for stormwater and the stormwater controls, it's at about $385 a linear foot.
All right, I can't calculate that high.
Times 5,280 feet in a mile.
Add it up, Jordan.
No, I'm looking at Dallas. I don't even work a calculator that fast.
385.
385 a linear foot, that's all in, at 5,280 feet in a mile.
How many miles was it?
It's
So you guys keep talking in feet.
I believe that section of 30th to 202 is just shy.
1.8 miles.
Yes.
So you're looking at about $4 million to do that one road, right? And in my mind, 30th is a collector road, and that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to be looking at, is how do we get some folks off of Newberry Road? How do we get that flow back and forth? So the numbers we are talking about are big, but the numbers that everybody's faced with are also big numbers. So I'm fine with the 500. I'm good with that grandfathered clause, because 100 years from now, nobody's going to look back and say, did those 500 houses get through? It's going to be, did the city commission meet the needs of its citizens at the time when it needed to? And 10 years to step into it is not going to be a big deal. So we've got direction to staff, 70, 10, 10, 10, right? Mike's not listening to me anymore, so, and then
I'm sorry.
commercial, 0, 5, 5, 5, 5,
Yes, sir.
right? And then everybody come back 2 weeks from now, and we'll do this all over again. You get one more 2 minutes this time. One more. At the end of the night is 5 after the agenda is over.
Oh, okay, not bad.
Right.
Yeah, I just think as big a tax this is gonna be, and to start with, if you want your impact fee right now at 100% to 6,900, then 522 houses would pay for the road. But my deal is, as big as the decision is, I don't think a lot of people got that package with them numbers. I think you ought to have a workshop. I mean, I appreciate you having an auction up here on what they want in 10, 10, 5, 5, 5 and all that. But I think they need to, I mean, you know, there was a little revolution caused by throwing some tea off a boat. And, you know, I mean, we're getting taxed. There ought to be a little more representation, and I think there should be.
Well, how many workshops did we have about this? We had 3.
3 public.
3? They were public?
They were all public. We advertised them. I put them on social media.
I mean, as big and important it is, seemed like to me a lot of guys didn't have that chart that I had. And I don't think they knew what it was, but I don't know, man. I you know, kind of feel uncomfortable where you just, hey, this is the direction. And some of them saying, yeah, no, I don't know. You know what I mean? But anyway, y'all do it what you think you need to do.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, we got direction? All right, moving on to old.
One more thing. And when you go with 70%, that's
Right.
$4,800 a home. That's $800 more than the county. And I hope y'all don't want to be like the county commission.
That is
Yeah, when it's $6,900 per house.
I think, hang on. I don't think that's right, but by the time we get back here again,
What is it?
we'll confirm it.
Yeah, get it up there.
Right.
Y'all do it.
I got 70, 3,500.
Huh?
I got 70%.
And what number you using on that? 5,600?
I'll have to look. see
You gotta
what's
count the public works building, that's 1,300.
They've got 4 different categories. I don't know how many categories they have.
Yeah, that's
Right.
just your.
But I would say, guys, let's answer those questions. We're gonna be here again, and we're gonna get the opportunity to have this whole conversation one more time, right? But we'll answer that because we have given direction to our staff that we want to be under our peers. So if Mr. Norfleet is right, we'll address it. If Mr. Norfleet has his numbers wrong, right, we'll straighten it out,
Well, this
right?
that is the road at 70% is what I'm
Right.
saying. That's what's in front of me.
Okay, so new item 11, old item 11, new item 10 is Community Block Development Grant, Pastor Lowry, or Mr. Lowry, tonight. We've been waiting. I can't wait to hear about this grant here.
My name is Armin Lowry, Project Manager, City of Newberry, Mayor, Commission. I'm here to ask the Commission to adopt a resolution for 2023-30, authorizing the staff to submit a community block grant, CDBG, application for a neighborhood revitalization. And this is a second hearing, and we came on last year on the 28th of last year. We're back to close this out so that we can submit this to DEO. So that's what my purpose is for being here on tonight, is that to ask the commission to grant this resolution so we can submit this to DEO.
All right, Mr. Attorney, would you read Resolution 2023-30 into the record for us, and then we'll ask questions.
Yes, sir. A resolution of the City Commission of Newberry, Florida, authorizing the chief elected official to make an application to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for approval of the city's fiscal year 2022 Community Development Block Grant in the Housing Rehabilitation category, adopting the city's comprehensive plan as the city's community development plan, provided for an effective date and for other purposes. Appropriate motions passed resolution 2023-30 as read by title only.
All right, do we have any questions? I have a motion for approval from Commissioner Farnsworth, second from Commissioner Coleman. We've got we're gonna get this one?
It looks real good this time, sir.
All right. No other questions? I had a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any comments or questions on the floor? Go after this. All right, all those in favor, stand by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah.
All right. We are going into quasi judicial. What are you looking at, Doris, see if Naeem's still
rezoning.
All right. So we're entering quasi judicial. This means the commission will stop being a legislative body and become a judicial board, which means they have to follow certain rules and adhere to a different standard of decision making. Primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following, and I quote, "All public testimony taken under oath, everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. Giving opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence record." I'm going to ask the attorney at this time to read into the record this ordinance? I lost it.
Ordinance, yes, sir.
Ordinance. Into the record at this time, please, sir.
It is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the amendment of the official zoning atlas for the rezoning of approximately 8.28 acres of land, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry land development regulations, providing for rezoning from commercial general CG zoning district to commercial intensive CI zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Tax parcel number is 01924-010-004, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2023-12, LDR 23-05 at the appropriate time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please swear in anybody wishing to speak tonight? And this is the only one we have.
Judicial item on
Yep.
the agenda, so if you plan to speak on this item, if you could raise your right hand, stand, and you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Do.
Name?
Brian Thomas.
Okay, we need to do ex parte. Ex parte is any communication or conversation or transmission of information that may have a bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. Commissioner Coleman?
None.
Commissioner Clark? Commissioner Farnsworth? Commissioner Martin? Commissioner Maison? Okay, I'm a non-voting mayor, but I haven't had none as well. I'm going to explain the order of the presentations we're going to hear in this quasi-judicial. We're going to start with a staff overview. Then the applicant has the opportunity to make a presentation with no time limit, then staff report and recommendation, also with no time limit. I have not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status. That's going to take us straight to public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. Then the applicant can cross-examine, staff can cross-examine, members of the decision-making body through the chair can ask questions of any participants. Then we'll listen to final arguments. The city attorney will advise the decision-making bodies applicable law and factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Then we'll deliberate, and after deliberate, the vote will be taken to approve, condition, continue, or deny. That's the presentation. Staff, give us the overview if there is no applicant presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to say there is no applicant presentation tonight, so.
Such a good job, he doesn't even have.
So with the commission's permission, we'll just go right through. As stated, it's ordinance 2023-12, which is an application to rezone a little over 8 acres on the south side of Newberry Road. It's currently zoned commercial general. The request is to upzone slightly to commercial intensive. The commercial intensive incorporates all the permitted uses that the applicant is looking to develop in the future on that site. The land use designation is already commercial, so it does not have to be changed, so it doesn't have to, you don't have to go through the land use process. And water and wastewater utilities will be provided by the city. Electric service there in the Clay Service Territory area. Picture of the subject area, aerial layer of the subject area. It's in front, as stated in the staff report, it's in front of the Ultimate RV storage facility. A little bit larger blow up of it. It's approximately 8.28 acres and has to be approved by ordinance because it is a zoning change. It's been heard by the Planning and Zoning Board. This is the first reading by the commission. It was approved, and let me back up, it was recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board. Staff's recommendation is, or finds that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development regulations. In fact, a commercial intensive is a more appropriate zoning for a parcel like this on the main artery, Newberry Road, than commercial general. Commercial general would be a little bit more conducive to something in the downtown area and smaller developments. So therefore, staff's recommendation is to approve ordinance 2023-12 on first reading.
All right, thank you. And the applicant does not wish to make a presentation. All right. That's going to take us to public comment. Any members of the public here to speak to this agenda item? Seeing none. I'm assuming we're foregoing cross-examinations. Decision-making body, do you have any questions? Commissioner
I
Coleman.
just have one. I mean, when we go intensive, that means like they could put a wall or something like that, like a gas station.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's pretty much exactly what it means. In general, commercial intensive means it's more geared towards automotive intensity.
Okay.
And so, again, that's why it would be more appropriate than commercial general on a major thoroughfare like Newberry Road.
Sounds like Commissioner Coleman has an inside track.
No, I don't, but I mean, I was using that because they're retail, store, like, restaurant, and gas all. So I'm thinking, well, that's intensive.
Any other questions from the dais? Before we go to final arguments, Mr. Attorney, would you advise the decision-making body, please?
Substantial and competent evidence, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We'll enter into deliberations. If there are none, I have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. takes us to old item 13, new item 12. This is ordinance 2023-19. Mr. Attorney, would you read that on second reading into the record?
An ordinance
Please.
pertaining to procedure of the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, amending the prior Article 3, Section 2 of the Land Development Regulations of the City of Newberry to designate the city mayor as the presiding entity of the Board of Adjustment, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2023-19 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Brian, you add anything new from first reading to this reading?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's exactly the same. There's no direction to make any changes by the commission, so it's same presentation as last time, just basically changing the way that the Board of Adjustment, the chair is selected would be the non-voting mayor. Vice chair would be elected from the remaining members of the Board of Adjustment.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, a second from Commissioner Mazon. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor?
Jim Martin.
Yep.
I wasn't in favor of this last time, only from the standpoint of having the mayor being the chair of multiple boards. Present company excluded, of course. I didn't necessarily want to see that centralization, just from a theoretical standpoint, moving forward, but just wanted to restate that, so we would be doing a roll call vote.
Okay. Public comments on the motion on the floor? Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Coleman?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin? No. Commissioner Mazon?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Martin in dissent. Don't go anywhere, Brian. Old item 14, new 13 is ordinance 2023-20. Would you read that into the record, please, Mr. Attorney?
An ordinance pertaining to the procedure of the Planning and Zoning and Historic Architectural Review Boards of the City of Newberry, amending the prior Article 3, Sections 3.1 and 3.3 of the Land Development Regulations of the City of Newberry to amend the terms of office, the Planning and Zoning Board and Historic Architectural Review Boards, and designate the city mayor as the presiding entity of the Planning and Zoning Board and the Historic Architectural Review Board. Repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2023-20 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as before, this would change the Historic Architectural Review Board and the Planning and Zoning Board membership to coincide, the appointments to coincide with the city elections. Current procedure you're familiar with. Appointments would be made and approved by the commission as a whole. So everybody would vote, all members of the commission would vote on the appointees. Staff will advertise open positions as is current practice, and then we'll provide rankings based on qualifications. The commission will take a simple vote on each seat until each seat is filled. And the ex officio non-voting mayor becomes the chair of the Planning and Zoning Board and Historic Architectural Review Board as well. There's your same table, has not changed, shows the appointments and how are tied to each of the commissioner seats. It was approved at the March 27th commission meeting on first reading. Staff's recommendation, therefore, is to enact ordinance 2023-20 on second reading.
All right.
Move to approve.
Hang on one second.
Wasn't this, when we first got on here, that the mayor was handling this anyway?
Well, yes, but the mayor was a voting member of the PNC.
Right.
And that was the sunshine issue that I wanted to correct when I became mayor. It seemed inappropriate for the mayor to sit on the PNC as chair and a voting member.
Okay.
So we recommended to make the PNC model after the commission, and we almost did. We just forgot, we just made the mayor like a liaison, but it used to be that the mayor was the chair and a voting chair. And I think that's one of the reasons why Mayor Conrad couldn't talk to the commission on a lot of things, because he had already taken a vote on the P&Z. So we are going back to the mayor being the chair, but now we're also correcting the potential sunshine issue of no voting. So that's really all. And again, the only real controversial part of this was the idea, the discussion of appointing members. That's not what we're doing. People will apply, The only thing different is staff will help rank those folks to look at what they have, right? Any other questions on, do we have a motion? I don't have a motion yet.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth. Second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions from the dais? Public comments or questions? Roll call, Commissioner Coleman.
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
No.
Commissioner Mazon.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Martin in dissent. That takes us to comments. Mr. Manager?
Got a loud microphone tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of comments for the commission's acknowledgement or information. When the consent agenda was approved, there was a grant agreement in there that moves us forward on some of the grants we're getting for the wastewater plant. It also results in the design contract for our design engineer being, will be signed tomorrow morning, and they'll get started. As you recall, very tight timetable to design a treatment plant. We intend to get that design completed by the beginning of 2024, so 9 months to design, and then we have a very tight time frame to get it built. 2 years. We think it's a 2-year project for construction, or to go through the construction phase, and that allows us to meet a deadline, if we can maintain that schedule, to get our treatment plant upgraded that we're required through our permit, our wastewater operating permit with the state. So just kind of tying how some of these things all connect is because of the action that y'all approved on consent agenda, we're going to begin design on our wastewater plant. You talked to the design engineer maybe 4 weeks ago. He was in here, and you authorized us to move forward on that. This is the finishing step in that. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to report to the commission. I don't know that I've done it publicly. Tonight is Ada Schmidt's last meeting with us, and in the position she has with the city. She got one of those opportunities that was too good to turn from, and so Ada's last days with us are this week. She's been with the city 9-10 short months, and been a great addition to our team. Made a big difference with the team, and we've really enjoyed the time we've had to work with her for these last 10 months. So I asked the commission to wish her farewell. She's moving over, going to begin an opportunity with the University of Florida, really beneficial for her family, so we're excited for her. I'd like to also introduce Randa, if she's back there. So Randa Paul is coming over from recreation and will be joining us in administrative areas and serving as the executive assistant. So she's been with the city for a little less than a year as well, but has proven to be quite a find, and we're excited about her joining the team at City Hall, and you'll be working closely with her. Just a couple of upcoming agenda items to make sure we keep it on the commission's radar. We are working on a presentation and discussion with the commission regarding the Newberry Police Department. So that's something that will happen in the next 4 weeks. We're working on dusting off a report that we prepared about 3 years ago, and it's time for us to have that next conversation. Also, we are planning a joint meeting with Alachua County, and just as of today, we actually scheduled that for June. It had been planned for May. But the county would ask if we would push it back because we think that the conversation about the meat processing facility is going to be front and center, and the county thinks it'd be more appropriate to have that conversation in June. And Mr. Mayor, I have just one last comment, which is less of an announcement and just more of a comment about the commission and a manager's observation. I've been here working on 9 years, and I'm grateful for that. But from early on, one of the memories that really sticks with me is during my first year, the commission indicated, hey, we are interested in diversifying our revenue stream. And we don't want to, our purpose for doing that is not to get more revenue. But we have found no matter what staff teaches us about a way to collect revenues from our residents, there's not one magic system. we can find faults in how it's unfair, whether it's ad valorem, whether it's fire assessment. You think of a way to tax our residents, and we can tell you how it's unfairly weighted to someone. And so the commission came to a conclusion, which I now agree with wholly. At the time, I hadn't thought about it much, but is the fairest thing we can do to collect revenues from our residents is diversify the number of streams, and the net result of what any taxpayer pays in our community is probably fairest. And then the commission adopted electric franchise fees, which we were one, if I remember correctly, one of 10 or 12 cities in the state that didn't do it at the time. And it made our ad valorem taxes look a little unfair. A lot of people complained that we have high ad valorem taxes. And we said, but wait, we don't charge a franchise fee, and no one seemed to care. It was like, well, we don't care about that, it's the ad valorem. So to be competitive, the commission said, let's charge these franchise fees. And when we got to the budget cycle, the first thing they asked staff to do, Dallas, is calculate the revenues that we're about to realize from these franchise fees and discount that right off the top. What's the millage rate equivalent? And it was $0.50. And so right out of the gate, the commission said, we're reducing our millage rate. We're not trying to get additional money. We're trying to diversify our revenue stream. And for the most part, the commission has maintained that. I will remind the commission and the community, we've been charging impact fees in this community for 20 years or more for our water system. And in the 9 years that I've been here, they've been raised one time, and that was this past year. And that was after we got a report that says, hey guys, your next wastewater plant that was $9 a gallon 8 years ago, and that we thought was going to be $20 a gallon, is going to be $40 a gallon. So we're looking at a $40 million price tag for a 1 MGD wastewater plant, and we're working on that. So this commission begrudgingly raised our water and wastewater impact fees a few percentage points. It wasn't an astronomical step. And I know y'all remember all that, but you don't, maybe not always recall it quickly. In 9 years that I've been here, I've never seen our commission be knee-jerk about adding to revenue streams. It's always, we're going to trade you $1 for $1, and we're trying to diversify our revenues. And I think that you don't get enough good press about that. I don't think you get commended enough for that. This is a very stingy with people's tax dollars commission, and I'm proud to work for it, and I think you guys do a great job. And I just felt like that needed to be said tonight. Thank you, guys.
Well, we appreciate that. Ada, we're sorry to see you go, but we wish you all the best of luck. UF is UF. They're getting a good one, and welcome and congratulations, Ms. Paul, to your new position as well. And there was something else I was going to say there, but it went right out of my head.
I was long-winded. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your comments too. Mr. Turner, do you have anything tonight?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, do you have anything you want to pass on?
Janine Marinack, the staff assistant to the city clerk. I wanted to remind everyone that at your next commission meeting on the 24th, the swearing in for the newly re-elected office commissioners will be at 6 p.m. We'll have a photographer available, and I'm assuming that most of you are going to want pictures with your family, your supporters, that kind of thing. So just let me know, and I'll add it to the list and make sure that we get you included, so the photographer and I mark it off the checklist on the 24th. And this is particularly for staff, because the commissioners are never an issue, but dress appropriately.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Coleman.
You know, after you just said that, this will be the first time that Nana won't be up here getting a picture with me. I tell you, it just hit me. Dang. I'm glad we, you know, the way we're working together with this. We still really hadn't got there yet, but I really think that I'm really happy that we're on, kind of all of us are on the same about the commercial. I do agree that the impact from the new people buying homes here is impacting our city. I was wanting to be just a little bit lower, but I'll go ahead and go with the 70, 10, 10, 10, but, hoping that maybe we won't have to increase it every year. Another thing is, you know what, no, I'll wait till the next meeting on that.
All right.
wait on that.
Oh, that's a good teaser. Now we're all going to be waiting for that next meeting. All right.
So,
Starting a new trend there.
Oh, and one more. I talked to Judy today, and I think it's okay for me. She did not seem like she was doing. She's really under the weather. So if you want to say a little prayer for her tonight before you go to bed, because she did not sound well. So
I appreciate it. Commissioner Clark?
I got a question. Is the BOCC here, the joint meeting? Wow. The meat packing plant's gonna come up again? And we're gonna be on the dais?
Yeah.
This is gonna be good. Oh, Lord. It's gonna be them same people.
I don't know.
Anyway.
We don't control who attends the meetings.
I know,
but-
Mike, but this
I
might
don't
be
know that
good.
PETA will pay them to come twice.
Oh, well, dag nabbit.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just say, we, as I always say, God bless America. We live in the best country in the world. And, what we do here tonight, I know we all got big stuff on our shoulders, but, other than that, I just say, pray for our troops deployed and the things that are happening in this world, and maybe we'll get a different president.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
A couple of things. I think, West Fest is coming up. I
was
thought
going to bring it up. April 22nd.
Yeah, I thought the manager would have said something about it, but he's a little slacking.
He was just waiting to leave me something
Is that
to
what it
say.
was?
That's what all it was, yeah.
The other thing is, I know we approved the little get-together out at the Ross property over this last weekend, and it was, from the feedback I've gotten, it was not nearly as well-organized and controlled
I can give an
as
update on that too.
as they had
All right,
originally
yeah.
told us. So I think in the future, we need to really look into considering what to do about that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Martin?
Were you gonna talk about the downtown festival? On the first? We haven't actually.
Yeah, they'd love to hear it coming from you though.
We, Main Street knocked it out of the park again with the Spring Festival, so I talked with Frances, and she actually said that the applications for the events that they're doing right now are gone within about a month of them actually posting it, which is fantastic, and I think everybody had a great time. The only really thing that sticks out in my mind is how much I actually enjoy and appreciate how we handle disagreement in this room. Whether it's between us on the dais, members of the public, members of the staff, just how we can sit here and have disagreement and a difference of opinion. And I just so thoroughly appreciate everybody in this room for how we handle all those sorts of things. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Oh, no, we don't go backwards. It's only
Maison
forward.
said.
Okay, Commissioner Farnsworth.
With the Board of County Commission coming and possibly some other people coming, I think our capacity is what, 89%? If we get,
yeah.
if we get like 80 residents in here, we won't be able to have any other people come in, so. I'm just saying we
I
need
mean,
to-
we got a great big yard outside. People can stand.
Well, they
and
can
wait.
stand out there, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. We'll open up the window and, yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Commissioner Maison.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on Tim Martin, I think it's great. I mean, half the people out there, excluding her and her brother, I saw today in plumbing and spoke with them today, and they dug into me deep, which was good. But I mean, we could come to a conclusion, consensus on an agreement. that we are happy with and that they're happy with, right? I want to say, Ada, I'm going to miss you. Good luck to your future endeavors. Rhonda, welcome. I've seen you a couple times over there. I'm actually my dad joke's going to be actually geared towards one of the smallest, if not the smallest cattle companies in the city of Newberry, Northfleet. So, Trip, what do you get from a pampered cow? Spoiled milk. You didn't get it?
I didn't hear you.
Pampered cow. What do you get from a pampered cow? Spoiled milk.
See, y'all are gonna have to come every week because that was way better than what we normally
Come on, man. Oh, my God. You're killing me, brother.
So I was going to talk about West Fest. That is the 22nd, so 2 Saturdays from now. That's 4 to 9. 4 to 9 in Lois Fort Park. Great lineup, family friendly. Come, bring your chairs, bring your blankets. It's a free event. We want you to come and enjoy it. On the same day at the fire station, the Newberry Opioid Task Force has partnered up with the fire department and the health promotions and wellness. If you've got opioids in your medicine cabinet that are old, expired, you don't use them anymore, doctor gave you too many, we can safely take them back. The fire department's also going to be having a barbecue dinner sale, and we're going to split the money with the fire department for mutual effort. So come for lunch. You can pre-order them. I'll send you a flyer. Grab it, and then you go out there to West Fest, sit down, relax, have a good time. The Ross family reunion, the party out there, I did ask ASO for an update, and the event itself was organized and shut down on time and adhered to all the standards that you guys approved. The issue was that more people came than what was presented what was presented to us are expected. And those people that came, instead of just being turned away and going home, decided to expand the party. So I think that what we need to do is have a conversation with ASO and the Ross family that they've just outgrown that location. That location can no longer hold the numbers of people that want to attend that location. So that's where I would fall on that question. If they come back to us again and say, they want to have an event, I think at this point that land, that property is just too small. But ASO said the folks at the event, very well behaved, everybody was having a good time, music was within the ordinance, all that kind of stuff. It was the folks who were told, our parking lot's at capacity, we can't get in. They still wanted to have a party, and so they went to the Circle K and the side of the road and all those kinds of things. So the event planner, I think, is going to get a kind of a black eye here, probably unfairly, because the event on site seemed to be, and that's straight from ASO's mouth, the event on site was well run. It was the folks that couldn't get onto the site. Still, absolutely, I agree. We got to address it. We got to figure out, how to address it. And I've asked ASO to engage with our staff. For the joint meeting, we want to have the interlocal agreement. I thought we were going to have the interlocal agreement back on April 4th, right? Was that 4th, April 4th? We didn't have the interlocal agreement, and I called up the city manager that morning and said, well, are we pulling this item as a conversation because there's nothing for us to talk about because we don't have an interlocal agreement to have a conversation. Little did I understand how much the county likes to talk about things. So we spent 5 hours talking about whether or not we should keep talking. And at the end of that, we decided that we should keep talking. So, and I've expressed to Commissioner Cornell, who was very adamant. He thought that we should have a conversation with our citizens about the meatpacking processing plant. And I said, well, we don't have anything to talk about, Ken. There's no interlocal agreement. It's just an idea at this point. But I think it's I have no problem talking about it with our community. I just think we're coming at it from a different perspective. We talk to our community when we see them at Stonehouse, when we see them at 1906, when we're at church, when we're watching the baseball game or the basketball game. So we can have a conversation with our community without necessarily having it up here. And I don't think that the county can particularly do that, so they don't really understand how a small town works. But we will have the interlocal agreement by that point, and then we'll have exactly, what it is that we're talking about. Broad strokes are everything that I've said publicly. We're gonna donate 15 acres of developed land. They're gonna build a meat packing facility. We're gonna take the cost of that 15 acres and they're gonna apply that as our donation to fixing 337. And up until this point, everybody seems to be just fine with that. They're gonna have to fix 337 anyway, because they're putting recycling plants and a fire training center there. So, it's a great project. It's a great partnership. I think the fire training college and the recycling, those are pretty well done. The meatpacking plant, they still have a lot of work to do. But this interlocal agreement is kind of our chance to say, this is what we expect. We expect you to hear the best practices when it comes to odor control and all that kind of stuff. Because once that interlocal agreement is done, Newberry is pretty much out of it. They build it, they run it, they manage whoever runs it, they do what they want to do. If they decide not to build the meatpacking plant, then the 15 acres comes back to us and we pursue a different partnership or something else. So that's why we're pushing the joint meeting back, because it's clearly going to be a topic of conversation, and I want us to have something to talk about when we have that conversation. That's all of my comments, I believe. Public comment. Now we have 5 minutes. Did we wear anybody out? All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to take 5? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Wait, don't go nowhere.
BOA.
Gonna BOA. But let's take 2. Is it very fast?
It really is.
All right, then let's just go straight to it. All right, go ahead. By the time I get here, you'll be back. Okay, we're gonna, wait a minute. Did this take effect tonight? Who's chairing this, me or Mark? We already voted.
You already got it selected.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and call this regularly scheduled April 10th